Hello, YouTube. I'm playing a drum and bass. Oops, I just muted it. Drum and bass video that I just searched for early 2000s drum and bass. And then we got a very nice comment about the bug assault. I had no idea that my efforts bubbaing up a bug assault would come to fruition the way they have. If I knew that that would still be generating comments, I would have done more streams where I show how I did all of the bubbaing, all of the Picatinny rails that I 3D printed, because this is actually a real gun accessory. I had a light on the side of it too, and then the red dot is angled way down because this thing is shooting salt. I still need to make like a barrel thing for it so it doesn't look so weird, but I tell you, this makes spiders mad. That's all it does. The spiders are just mad. Yeah, if I had known, I would have gone over what I did with this stuff, because this is I did this on my own. Oh, and it's red, so the camera's going crazy with it. Camera hates red. But yeah, it works like this. It's easy to break like this, but it does work. I just don't understand why people are still commenting about the internal mechanics to the bug assault. I never knew. Like, nobody talked about it. The product is so old that they now have like a revolver one that uses an air canister. But the bug assault is only good for shredding wings. It just shreds the wings off of flies, and then they get eaten by the other bugs that the bug assault can't kill. And then the other one is pointing out cleaning buttons, and hopefully LFO Sync. Non would say, you know, if you're not able to catch the streams, it's totally fine. But we did inject a button with alcohol, and I have it right here. And supposedly it revives it. I'm going to test this again in, well, maybe today. Or maybe in a little bit. But did it just drip alcohol when I pressed the button? I want to test this thing again, the button that we injected into, to see if the solution lasts. But yeah, I'm on a little bit early just because it's me and the dog in the house. So I'm actually going to fade out the music because we do have a lot of work to do. I'm sort of taking this module testing module project back. I'm taking it back and I'm working on it again. And that involves a little bit of CAD, but also a lot of the way that I want to do it now is to actually build it. I want to actually build the thing. I want to test out the little circuits piecemeal, like piece by piece by piece. The idea behind the module testing module is that this is a sensitive and calibrated measuring and output source. So if I want to make a C note from an LFO, I can get exactly, what is it, 1.000000 volts, and I know that that's going to be in tune, or at least engineering in tune. Some people are of the philosophy, and Julian is the one that shared the hippy dippy stuff with me, saying that with modular synthesizers, your machine has a life of its own. It's the ghost in the shell of the machine, that's not the right use of that. But anyway, it's the little proclivities, the little out of tune things, the little weirdnesses, the interference that a wire might have in your system versus someone else's is what gives your machine its soul. It's what makes yours unique and gives you the sounds that you, whatever. I'm an engineer. I need numbers to be numbers. And so in the whole grand scheme of things, I would like to build this little testing unit. This is one of those projects. It's if you go through Mutable Instruments site, one of the first modules that she made was a module testing module. This is one of those things where it's like, if I'm getting into this, I'll probably get a lot of use out of something like this. And so making a module testing module seems like a little bit of a rite of passage. And you can actually buy Mutable Instruments module testing module, but I don't want to do that. I know how to build this stuff now. So having poured over the circuits multiple times, I sort of know what needs to be in this. Now I do have a schematic, so Blender is great. I find it funny that he can't use the free version since his streams are his income. He can use the free version. I don't, well, Uo's Lab is who we're talking about. If you guys don't know Uo's Lab, it's a fellow, not electrical, well, was he electrical engineer? I forget what kind of, a fellow engineer who streams and does really awesome and exciting stuff. You don't think he can use it on stream because of that reason? That's crazy. I should see if I can pull some strings and get them to contact him, because I get a sponsored copy. See, I don't make nearly the amount that would make it so that I can't use AutoCAD on stream. It's the free version of AutoCAD. If you are an individual and you make less than 10K a year, I believe. I'll have to look at the numbers again, actually. Luckily, this isn't a sponsored stream, so I don't have to find the exact answer. But there are certain stipulations about using the software if you're making money off of it, which I technically I am, but it's not enough. It's not enough to trigger anything. But also, my copy is now sponsored by them for having a couple of those hashtag AutoCAD ads. That's what was going on yesterday. Today, though, we're not really using AutoCAD. My thumbnail is a lie. I am a filthy liar. The thumbnail, we're actually not really going to be using it very much. Doing a Harbor Freight run. Objective survive, have fun. Thanks for stopping in, Clarence. We need to find some longer screws too, so that I can actually put this thing together a little bit. But the idea is that what I have here is just a well, okay. This was a remodeling of a input and output perforated prototyping board that I made, and I was going to try to fit all of the electronics onto the one board. That's not going to happen. It's like this is way too much. I would have to do all kinds of stuff to do this. This would be crazy. This would be nuts. I was playing around with what different parts I could use and jumpers and the voltage regulators and stuff. No. This is not it. This is not the answer. So anyway, what we're gonna do? What was it? Vine Sauce the other day played one of these videos that was a compilation of AI wrestling videos where the announcer went crazy and would just say what over and over again. And I did not know. I did not have the mental capacity to know that it would be infectious. That every time I said what in my head, it would go what. Bad. It's bad. It's a bad habit. Anyway, I have a perforated prototyping version of this board. So what I want to do is I want to build this thing module by module, piece by piece, to make sure that everything works, so we're not dealing with the disappointment of suddenly turning it on for the first time and having nothing work. Although technically, as a streamer, I should do that more, because when I do that, there's a chance that something pops, and if something pops, that's like really good for stream. And it's something that I cannot fake, because I'll know. Because I'll know. I said, whoa, to my fiance a few times. It's ridiculous. Why does it, it's like an instant earworm. What is up with that? But anyway, so if stuff explodes, that's like really good for stream. But if I blow stuff up intentionally, it is super clear that that's what I'm doing. So yeah. Anyway, so we're not just going to build it all in one thing and see whether or not it works. We're going to build this thing by thing. And so we start with the power supply. And by the way, the idea is that I have designed in AutoCAD, I have designed these trays that'll fit to basically the mount of the screen. In modular synthesizers, you have a couple circuit boards that are usually stacked in order to be as compact as possible. Although in my modular synth, I have one module where I've turned the board 90 degrees. A lot of these like one rack unit things are so small that they have horizontal circuit boards sticking out of them and into your rack. And supposedly there would be enough room behind that, but some of my friends are so space constricted that they can't use certain modules because they don't want a big thick thing to lug around. But in our case, we do have a whole bunch of room behind the module. So the idea is that I would use wire wrapping and posts in order to wrap, in order to connect the things to the things. So I'd have a module that would be an amplifier board, and then it would get power via wire wrapping. That way we can be a little modular with it. And if we make mistakes, we don't have to grab the soldering iron. That's not as important. The wire wrapping just makes a really good connection. If I were soldering wires to modules, it would probably be the same story. It would just be a little different. And then every now and then, when you're soldering like solid core 30 gauge wires to boards and they flex, they'll break. And so if you have a big system like this that's going to consist of a lot of modules, things are really going to be frustrating when you start trying to poke in there at the wires. And so the idea is that I have multiple levels of trays that I can then lay out flat and poke around in. With wire wrapping, I think that would be a really good thing to do, because these different components of this thing come in like breakout modules, and so we can just put the module onto this thing. My previous idea was to put the chips in and then implement the circuits in situ, which, you know, maybe that would have worked, but boy, oh boy, would I have been annoyed with routing it. And also, you know, using the small op-amp chips. So this way we can do kind of a more traditional build. And so I can have multiple of these trays sitting behind everything. And it would look something like this, where I would have multiple levels. And then, yeah, Bob's your uncle. So anyway, this is what we're working with. I've got most of the stuff already. This is the perforated prototyping board. Here, let's arm in focus. Ow, these things are pokey. Hurt. Yeah, so I'm on a little early today. I was going to go on even earlier, but I just wanted to start working on this. But yeah, here's the front panel. I got the Noritake-tron. I got to remember how to say that. The Noritake-tron vacuum fluorescent display. This thing is very current hungry, so I'm a little worried about how much current that thing is going to draw. We need to put a big power supply module on this. But the Noritake-tron screen, output or input LEDs for all 6 channels, 6 buttons for channel select and whatnot, and then my IOs, and then an AB encoder so that we can navigate the... So we can navigate the menus and select things and change the nature of the beast. What I want to do is I want to build up the full hardware, make sure the screen works for us and everything, because man, that would be a big, you know, that would have been, this whole project's gonna fall flat on its face when I power up the screen and go, oh no, it looks terrible. Because I've got an implementation of this thing working on this LCD. So the code can be manipulated slightly, put onto this one, you know, widen out some of the elements of it, and then implement just the simple 6-channel thing that I've already got going, and then we can build it up from there. So whatever's on this will translate over to here. All right, I think that's everything by way of explanation. Where do we start? Well, modular synthesizers obviously need power. So that's the best place to start any project, is with power. What are our power requirements? Well, we've got the vacuum fluorescent display. I don't know where the data sheet for that ended up. It's somewhere around here. But I think this thing is 300 up to 700 milliamps. That's almost an amp at 5 volts. The Teensy 4 is 3.3 volts, and I think it's strictly 3.3 volts. So we will be sending messages to the screen at that voltage. I don't think we're gonna get messages back from the screen. I guess we got to figure out how the screen's going to work in the first place. But before all else, we just need power. Power is the first stop. And so we've got plus and minus 12 volts with a big old ground in the middle coming from this. I could maybe use the wider IDC connector, because this device might have more requirements, and then I would be able to take advantage of the 5 volts that this thing produces. What did we do for a 5-volt regulator in here? Yeah, this got a nice one. So this has a nice 5-volt regulator. Maybe I do use the larger power standard for my testing device. We will, of course, give it protection diodes. This is a thing that's very common to Eurorack, is that when you have power coming into your Eurorack device, who knows who plugged it in? If it's one of my friends, then, you know, Lord help you. You're braver than I am, because these guys somehow keep grenading all of their freaking modules and taking them over to me. And then I'm the one that has to replace the diodes, or discover that diodes are missing. This is what happened to the M303s. I've got a pair of M303s and 2 owners of M303s who claim that they are totally cool with me still having their M303 after a year. I don't know if that's the case, but if they got them back, they wouldn't work. So if they're here, they still don't work. I don't know what's wrong with the M303. That circuit is killing me. I haven't worked on it. I haven't worked on it, to be fair. Hey, what's up? I can't pronounce names. Anyway, yeah, the M303 is just really anger, because I've bought all kinds of the pieces of it. By the way, this is what our original grid looked like. It was pretty small, 1 millimeter was not the answer. Something like 8 millimeter grids with 2.5 millimeter spacing between them is enough that the double-sided tape will definitely be able to grip on the appropriate side. So what we do is we're going to put modules and stuff in here. I will wrap wires, and then there will be like an umbilical cable that will go up into the next layer. So we're going to have to figure all that out. This is a Eurorack module testing module. Oh, did that break a little bit? Yeah, it looks like it did. Weird. It's like breaking my lip. Anyway, yeah, Eurorack module testing module. So what I'll be able to do with this thing is select modes, potentially look at an oscilloscope kind of readout. I can set frequencies out. I can measure frequencies in, or voltages. So ins and outs is what it's all about today. Let's get this stuff laid out and let's see what fits, and then we'll start working on the power supply. The first things first, if we're going to be doing this modularly, we need to, one, make sure there's enough space, but two, make sure that we can power everything first, and then we'll take it piece by piece. Measurement and outputs, because when you build a new module, sometimes you have to tune it, and sometimes it needs a bunch of different stuff in order to function. Like for an ADSR, you would need to give it a gate signal, but then you would also give it the thing that it's ADSRing. Does the raid light work? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It's over there. It's kind of in a corner right now, but that does indeed work. I can set it off right now. Dude. Wait, where's my browser? Where's my browser? There it is. Donk. And then, which one is it? This one. Woo! So that happens if somebody raids the channel with their viewers. Wee-oo. And then what you're looking at right here is eventually going to be an air raid siren. So we're gonna get like when somebody raids. Yeah, no, there's no sound. This thing is just making little reeny. No, the air raid siren does not work. I'm waiting on the motors for that. I found some cheapo motors that were of the right size, little 3-phase jobbies. All right, so the pick and place, we have a lot of designing to do with the pick and place, so we'll get to it. And then when I'm done the pick and place, we can build up this other VCO, and I can build up that filter that I want, this wonderful filter with all of its tiny little components, and we can finally get the shot where I've got the hot plate with all the components on it and all the solder paste, and all the solder paste flows over all at once, and we see all the little pieces move themselves into place. Can you make air raid siren a nyan cat? It's gonna be a physical thing. These rotors spinning with all the slats like that create an air raid sound. They go ring. It's not a no, it's not. You can't do that. I mean, maybe you can, but I'm not going to engineer that. All right, so we need to start with power. That's going to have its own perforated prototyping board. I also need a power connector. The connector. Do I have a connector? Yes, I do. Ah, they're there. They're right there. Connector, it's you. Haha, you did not notice me. All right, so these are all of my IDC things. I happen to find like a little bin for them. The organization system in this shop is random at best. Yeah, so definitely not using these. These wide boys are what we're looking for, and it's the stripe pin 1, that is -12. So the big boy plugs into this thing, and the stripe pin being the one with the little arrow on the casing. Here, a little arrow on the casing. That's -12. So these two are -12. These are ground, 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 +12, +5, and then some kind of either CV or just other control signals. 2 internal route control signals that nobody uses. It's like older Eurorack stuff takes advantage of these. And for some reason, the M303 is stupid. But anyway, it's something that typically you'd be able to switch on the front of the module. It really makes it feel like you're like one of the old school, like really old school black and white Batman villains, where you're just sitting at a radio console flipping switches and going, "I'll get the Batman." Yeah, anyway, so 5 volts typically not used in Eurorack, but we might use it here because my module testing module is going to suck down. It's really just gonna suck. It's just gonna really go like, you know, grapefruit on that thing. It's just gonna a lot of 5 volts, So maybe we'll use the dedicated 5 volts, but that means, do I need to put a diode on that? I probably do. Usually on the plus and minus 12, because it's a symmetrical connection, and if you plug this thing in upside down, you can have problems having negative 24 volts go the opposite direction in your circuit is bad. The potential between these pins and these pins is 24 volts, but negative 24 volts to a lot of electronics is quite detrimental. So you put a diode on both of these as flow control. Put a little, what's called a Schottky diode. No. Schottky? Is that a Schottky? I think it's got a particular name. It's some dude, Schottky, and it takes very little volts to activate the diodes. One of the few instances that I've seen where we're actually using diodes like diodes. The other places that we're using diodes like diodes would be in flow control, in like 5 volt logic and timing circuits and stuff. It's something that I saw in a previous life quite a bit. But anyway, so that's the idea. So down here is negative. I ran out of insulin. I'm out of insulin. That means I need to redo the pump. So just give me a minute here. Go over to dash. This is what I get. I get this constant tone. Yeah, okay, thank you. Now my phone's going off. Shut up. Deactivate pod. Give it a minute. Give it a minute. Oh, come on. Retry. It's right there. Come on. There we go. Oh, sweet relief. If that doesn't work, there is a little buttonhole in the back of the pod. It's this little hidey hole in the back of the pod right there. That's a little hole in the pod, and if you stick a pin tool through that, or like a paper clip, it will actually break off a small section of circuit board. It'll crack. And what that does is that severs the trace that leads to the beeper, which is just a piezoelectric element that's right, you can see it. See that? That's a piezoelectric element right there. And so when you break that piece of circuit board, you're breaking the trace that leads to this thing and turning this off permanently. It probably thinks it's still beeping though. Don't you 404 on me! All right, so what I need to do is take off half of my shirt like a samurai. So I'm gonna mute for that. So hold on, well, I need like a, do I have one? No. 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 Okay, so while I'm muted, just so you guys know what's going on, but I'm gonna still work right in front of us here. We got the connector we needed, so I'm gonna put this aside and just do a new pump. And get that, and then I'll mute when I de-sleeve, and then we'll get, oh geez, I got this whole sim set up in the way. How's everybody's Friday working out? Anybody working on some cool projects that they want to share with the class while I'm distracted? Please, I need your help. Okay, no, I'm fine. I can stream. I know how to stream. I can stream. I can keep it exciting, even if we're just counting eggs. I can totally keep it. I'm just gonna stay. I'll stay collected and calm, and I'm gonna keep my head about me. during these trying times. So everything comes in medical packaging, which has been subjected to a radioactive isotope in order to make sure that it's completely sterile. This one's kind of bent. I wonder what happened there. These are disposable pumps. This is the entire pump for the next 2 days. I will be using this. It's about $35 in electronics, and they upcharge about 1,000,000,000% for these friggin' things. These have been revolutionary. I have never actually been so in control of my diabetes. Right now, this little troglodyte is sitting here in a dormant state until I actually pump it full of that sweet, sweet juice, that complicated protein that tells my body, hey, instead of the blood going acidic, why don't you store some of that sugar you got there, as you take some of that ATP and turn it into fat. And my body goes, oh, that's a good idea, but I was thinking, why don't I just like make your kidneys hurt and then you go to the hospital? No, this keeps me out of the hospital. So anyway, this needs to get in here, and so typically they will provide you with a syringe. And the problem of sterility is that we need to fill this reservoir one time and have it actually keep the insulin in there and then inject it slowly. And so the solution in this case is basically just having a plunger shoved through a tube, and the tube has a little rubber doodad on the back end of it. And it's the bottom right-hand corner of that, where as we squish this thing out, insulin will go into a tube that goes up and around and into my body. But if we inject it from here, it will fill this reservoir and the plunger will be moved backwards. When this thing starts up, it'll click a couple times because it's got a motor in it. But the motor is actually fascinating. It's much cheaper than a typical like wire wound motor. Not, you know, it doesn't have something like this in there. What it has is it has a piece of memory wire, and the memory wire pulls like a muscle, and that muscle moves a thing back and forth. The thing that moves back and forth has these two little PAWLS, pawls on it, and the pawls fit onto a gear, and it pushes the gear. As this thing moves back and forth, it will push a gear forward, and the gear goes round, right? The gear goes around. Where's the gear that I have? I have gears to display this. I have gears to display this. It's fascinating. Just bear with me. Bear with your crazy ass, crazy stupid streamer. Yeah, so I should make like a big diagram for this, or like a 3D printed thing, but these gears basically just spin a threaded shaft, and that threaded shaft will advance the plunger. So the plunger can freely back up. Once this turns enough times, it'll release a spring that clamps onto that mechanism. And then when this spins now, it will advance the plunger back in the other direction. So there's other sensors and stuff to figure out where it is, but it's so fascinating. The memory wire, no, like this. The memory wire moves this thing back and forth, and then that pushes on a gear in one direction. And the other one just provides like a stop. And then when it moves the other direction, the other one pushes it forward. Fascinating. It's really cool. All right, so what I need to do is, with the phone at the ready, open this thing up, open up my sterile packaging, put this here, then load up the provided syringe. So you guys are wondering why I always have access to lure lock syringes. It's because of this kind of stuff. All these pumps use lure lock syringes in order to fill. They've gotten real cheap though. There's no more rubber on the plunger of these. And actually, if we really, here's 35 bits towards the cost. Oh my God, I haven't done anything with bits in a long time. I need to put bits to something else. They turned that on. I never had that on. It's been a while, Streamlabs. Thank you for the bits. I appreciate them very much. I thought we had something that happened with bits. This light was supposed to tell me about them. That didn't work. It only did 20. I gotta look at my settings for bits, because Willow's gonna start barking at our neighbor dog. Neighbor dog, I can hear barking in the yard right now. Yeah, so eventually what I want to have happen is, if you donate a bunch of bits or just straight up cash, the money gun will shoot me with money. And that's a very easy one for us to do. Now that I've got the Arduino framework and stuff, I can make that pretty quickly with one of these ESP setups. Same thing as the raid light, right? Real easy to do. And then what I'm hoping to do is mount it to one of the magic arm mounts so that I can like aim it properly and make it not look like a gun anymore. I don't need a handle on it. All right, this is where I've got to mute audio because I'm going to be putting the pump on my arm. You guys can see me do it though. I'm just doing this so there isn't a bunch of like heinous microphone noise. You know what? I'm gonna put on the early 2000s drum and bass for those watching on Twitch. YouTube doesn't get music because YouTube is crazy. Actually, everybody is crazy. It's just Twitch gave us the ability to have the music in the broadcast and not the VOD. So Twitch people get to listen to drum and bass. YouTube gets a very awkward, silent stripping bother. I lied. I'm not actually going to take anything more off than that. Oh, you guys won't be able to hear me right if I unmute. So this is just going to be quiet. Actually, if I hold still enough, I don't know. Yeah, it seems like you got plenty of volume on me. I'm just going to sound weird because right now you guys are in a pile of cloth over there. All right, so activate pod screen. Nothing happening yet. We fill the little rubber bobble. You guys can't see. There. That's actually kind of hard to position sometimes. Okay. You're not supposed to recap a syringe, but I recap this syringe just because it's got a pokey bit. There it is. It is a little bit pokey. Oh, the mic just fell. I hope that wasn't... Oh, you guys can probably hear better now. Okay, so this thing is looking for a Bluetooth buddy, so I click next. The newer ones, rather, you can tap them together and they'll pair. But this is the pairing right now, so we just wait until this thing starts to make clicking noises. All right, this is clicking, so that's where it captures the barrel, the plunger. And so I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm going to put it on now. I'm going to get it on. The insulin pump, that is. It's not what you think. So switch arms just to make sure that my heavily bruised arm doesn't get even worse. You got to give spots a break every now and then. So I'm going to put this right on this side of the bicep. That's actually too common of a part of a location, but whatever. So there's that. So this thing is just clicking away. It's just doing its due diligence as a little troglodyte. I just got to make sure that it stays on. All right, so it stopped clicking. This thing goes to the next stage. I get a little check mark. So I click next, and now this is a unique thing in a UI design. I think this might be the only thing, this and the application, the application that's done by the company that makes the pump, are the only applications in existence that actually have you harm yourself, quote unquote, with an OK menu. So I click OK on this thing, and I get stabbed by a needle that stays in my, well, the needle retracts and the plastic tube stays in the body, but I don't know if there's an app where you click OK to harm yourself. So now, you guys won't be able to see it because it happens so fast, but right at the end of that thing, all of a sudden there will appear a little blue tube. Ow, that one hurt a little bit. We've tried to get a close-up of it, but it happens just way too quickly. So that just stabbed me in the arm and left behind a little blue tube that will now administer insulin until it can't, and then it will let out a constant yelling beep that will annoy the ever-loving piss out of me. All right, so that's an insulin pump change. Let me get you guys back on the body. Much akin to the pump itself. I need to get the mic back on. me do that right now. For a moment there, I forgot how to put on a shirt. I was like, wait, what direction do I do this in? All right, get the music out of here. All right, hit pause on that. There we go. Okay, cool. So, all right, now I've got insulin. We can continue on. We're going to make the power supply today. So I'm going to have to gather a couple parts. I was found to be type 2 when I was in hospital earlier this year. Fortunately, I only have to take a pill, no shots. Yeah, I'm type 1, so as a 9-year-old kid, I was told that I had to get very comfortable with needles very quickly. They had me practice on an orange. So if you guys want to know where Awesome Orange went, I injected them with insulin and they died. No, I injected this orange back in the late 90s with insulin, and then I played Mega Man 2 on the Nintendo that they had in the children's hospital. And then some weird priest said a prayer for me, and it was stupid. I was like, what are we doing? Anyway, hi. So we are working on the module testing module, and we are taking a modular approach, modularly. My title is no lie. That is grammatically correct through and through. We are building individual modules that are going to make up, they're going to Voltron themselves up into this device that I need. And this device already exists. I have a version of it that I built up. We're going to put that brain into this thing and make all of these individual modules do stuff. But for now, we need to solder a bunch of stuff, which I'm kind of excited for. We need to build up a bunch of modules that are going to make this thing work. And then we can wire wrap them together piece by piece and put this thing, you know, bring this to fruition. I think this is a very fun project, but this will be kind of cool. Anyway, oh, let's get that out of here. Bonk. Do I still have the computer question overlay? I think that's in the overlays. It's not here. The I am not equipped to answer your computer question. I don't know what motivates some people, but they come into my stream and expect me to be able to do their annoying computer projects. I get enough of that from my mother, who is the classic boomer, can't use a computer without asking it 75,000 questions into the ether that I'm somehow expected to answer. What is it doing? Why is it? That's weird. Huh, it shouldn't do that. Why is it doing that? And I'm like, I don't care. Stop asking questions into nothing. So we need to have a power thing that sticks out the back, and then it needs to have a lot of pads on it. Yeah, I didn't catch the title, but that's a bit of a head duck. It's a modular synthesizer module that tests modules, that is made up of modules. Module by module. I think I was lucky. My mom only had to be told something once. I taught them how to find the answers that they are looking for. That was my gift to them as somebody who gets very annoyed at things. And then they sometimes do that, but then they oftentimes just rely on their son. And their son is always crotchety about answering. And yet they persist. And yet they persist. So we're going to have a hell of a time of this. I have not gotten the 50 PCB breakouts for, what is it? For, what do you call it? I bought 50 of those little surface mount breakouts, so that'll be the amplifier section. I'm wondering if I can just use something like this and just have this as like the power section. And then we'll have a lot of standoffs on it. I had like 2 bites of tuna salad for lunch. I don't know how that is causing me to have like world-ending reflux, but it, you know, it's doing its best. All right, so that's going there. And if this is the bottom board, this is where we're going to have all of our logic and our DAC. So if I move this here, this is going to be big, and we'll have the 6 channels here. And I don't know about input, whether or not our input is going to be able to be through a DAC like this, through an I2S DAC, or if it's going to be through like directly into this thing. If I can just take the analog inputs from the amplifying section and put them directly into this fast microcontroller and get audio in and be able to measure like a sine wave input, that's going to tickle me pink. That'll tickle me pink. Wait, no, don't say it like that, because it sounds like you're a pirate. Tickle me pink there, boy. No, 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 no. Stop this, stop this, stop this. Too silly. Yeah, I think the thin one is good, but now I guess this also is going to need to go on a board where I can have standoffs, so it needs to be larger than that. That needs to be a bit larger. What else is going into this? Well, everything else is amplifiers, because we've got all of our I/O up here, and the digital stuff will go all the way down to here, including the screen stuff. So we have our power input and protection and shaping or whatever the hell, and all of the inputs that are going to go to devices like this. So there'll be a big wire harness going here, and then I guess the middle piece, and then this piece. And so this is going to be a bunch of amplifiers for I and O, and for the LEDs. These LEDs are actually kind of important for me because I'm dumb and I like to see something light up that tells me that I'm actually plugged in and I've got a signal going in or out. Because sometimes troubleshooting, it's just nice to have. So I had to have an LED, but the LED gets its own amplifier circuit. It'll get its own amplifier circuit that's sensitive to modular synthesizer voltages. And then I guess that requires an amplifier for each LED. So that's going to be a lot. There's going to be 3 banks of 3 banks of these little tiny guys. It's the fat and the mayo? Yeah. It was dry, and so I added mayo to it. So I'm double guilty of, I'm double dipping in the mayo. Wait a minute, no, 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 no. Don't say stuff like that, bother. Acid from pickles. I don't know if they were pickled. There's definitely celery. This is actually the tuna salad that they sell at the cafeteria at the hospital where I get my blood work done. And it's day-old tuna salad. There were little crunchies in it that were supposed to be in it. That wasn't an added bonus. So yeah, square headers when you wire wrap. So every I/O that we're doing on this thing should be done through a square header. However, I want this to plug in to its own header because this may sail away for you know, windier shores. I don't know all these phrases that I'm trying to say, but I shouldn't. Anyway, this thing may find itself in other projects, so I want to have headers on this thing, so it's not like a big disaster if I have to get rid of it. There are plenty of brains that I can use in this module testing module. I could use the original Teensy 4.0, which is a ridiculously, I mean, these are just about the same capability. This one just has a ton of I/O on it, which is necessary for something with all this I/O, but this thing, crazy. And I could probably use this. I could probably use an RP2040. I've got some of those with larger pinouts in my other stuff. Oh, there's one right here. RP2040, this would certainly be, oh, I didn't drop it on the ground, good. This would certainly be powerful enough. This is some flavor of STM32 that's probably also a complete bruiser. I got this to run LED screens. What are you? ESP, sorry, it's an ESP32 of some particular flavor. It's got a lot of cool stuff on it, including 2 USB. See, when I see a USB slot on a microcontroller, I go, ooh, they were thinking. They're modern. When I see 2, I get double the effect. Wait, no, I don't. No, that doesn't really work like that. But why are there 2? Anyway, the rest of these things are all USB micro. Dun, 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 wah. If more of this stuff was breakouts, kind of like the 505 was a bunch of devices that would expand your pinout, because that's what they do often, is the Microsoft controllers do not do that. They run each button individually directly to the microcontroller. But if you've got like a limited pinout, like these guys, this ESP whatevers, or the Seed Studio Zhaos, these guys over here. Where did it go? There it is. These guys over here. you got one of these, you don't have all the pins that you would desire, and so you'd run it to muxes and grids and stuff like that. And while I could do that, I feel like on a testing device, I want all of my I/O to go directly to the microcontroller, and the microcontroller to be blisteringly fast. So I think in this case, because I don't really have any other jobs for it, I think I should be using a Teensy 4. Here's a Teensy 3 point something or other. I don't know why I think I have 2 of these. This thing is also ridiculously powerful, but it's obsolete. Do you have any MCUs at all? What are you talking about? We've just been looking at all of the microcontroller units that I have. Right? MCU, microcontroller unit. Oh, where's that viewer that was into cool displays? Because I got these, and I never got to show them that. I don't think they're around, but they were showing all their cool displays in chat and in the Discord, and these are some of the coolest. They're just basically LED displays, but it's all just inside of red epoxy. It's getting scratched where this is. I need to move it to a different bin. I'm going to put it back where it was, though, so I can find it. But I need to find a project for those. I should really work on my project now. I've got the spindle working. Yeah, I've been looking at the updates on the Discord. Thank you for those. I could use an STM32. No, I don't think I should do that. I'm gonna use this guy because this is an expensive board and it deserves to have an expensive home. The CAN bus stuff is going to be done with a Raspberry Pi now, so I don't need the big boy to control my sim setup. So yeah, that's the. Oh, why did that like pop? It's about to pop off, is what it's about to do. Get back in there. Somehow. No, it's not. No. I bought all these new microcontrollers that I haven't used on anything, and they're clogging up my bin. This bin is due for a reorganization. That's for sure. Please close. Please clap. No. Okay, you go there. Wait, oh no, it's this thing that's keeping it open. It's the joystick module. All right, that goes away. So that's the microcontroller we're going to use. It has 10 million billion pins in it. And so I need to interface to those pins, and I need to make something that'll wire wrap. So we need to find a piece of PCB that is going to accommodate the giant microcontroller. It's literally just, I mean, like if I find something like this would have been perfect for it if it were, you know, nearly enough pins to house it, because that's all we're doing is we're just making a straight connection over to the next thing. Although if it is a, oh geez, that's even that. What the hell? That's not going to bode well for us. Yeah, so these are not wide enough. Obviously, I can cut these, but it looks cleaner if I don't. Wow, that is just enough pins. So there's our house. This is our home. I don't think I'm going to include this much, though. Well, I can't. I simply do not have room, so we'll take a couple of these away with us, which means it'll just look like a cut piece, so we might as well just harvest it out of a cut piece anyway. A cut piece anyway. Darn. Would have been nice if we had a clean board. But we don't get to have nice things, you see. That's us. Okay, so this needs to be cut to a particular length, and actually the width of this is pretty good. I guess one row of pins on each side. So in order to make it look even, I'm going to snap off the top here. But in order to, well, yeah, and then all the way to the end, and then we have, I don't think I'll give myself any more room. So we're going to this row right here. Now, you can snap these on the edge of a table. You just put pressure on either end, and the holes will be the, what row is that? I'm gonna have to remeasure it. What I use in order to split these boards initially is the wire cutter. This wire cutter does so much more than just cut wires because it has the two blades coming in evenly on both sides. It tends to split stuff better than most of the splitting tools that I have. The flush cutters are really only good at cutting against something so that it's flush, right? Their blades come in like this, so it tends to pop the thing out one end, and if you try to cut something evenly like headers, it will push the header up and then cut closer to the pin. Whereas the ones that are opposed to each other will push in either direction and cut in the center. And that's what you guys get to learn here at Twitch TV. Oh bother. All right, so we're going all the way to the end here. Like, this thing is a whole computer. I constantly think about the amount of computing power that I'm putting into this thing and how uneven it really is. It's like way too much power for just a module testing module. I mean, I guess I can make it do other cool stuff. We can have all kinds of modes. How much time am I going to spend programming this thing? Hopefully not that much. So after taking all of the dimensions down, I can cut a little bit closer to the holes, or I can sand it closer, or file it. I prefer filing. We're going to do a little bit of filing now. This will take a minute. But it'll be well worth it when we have a nice smooth board on our module testing module. I guess I could have used that stuff where you can do the solder bridge, but anyway, this is a big convoluted thing that we're building right now. And also, wait, what's the pin out of the teensy for? Am I going to need any of those side pins? Doodly-doo. Oh, this is the 4.2 rather. Oh my God, it's so many pins. VN 3.6 to 5 ground, and then the 250 milliamps 3 volts. Okay, so we can get in there from the side. I mean, this is built to be breadboarded, and frustratingly enough, it's an uneven number of breadboard slots. It's an even number of breadboard slots. So you have stuff like this, and when you put this thing in, it has 2 rows of holes on one side and 3 on the other, and that's just what you got to deal with. I decided to make this an even number. It's less frustrating for things like this, but when you've got the gap, the one hole gap in the middle, it makes it it's so annoying. Okay, anyway. So there's 2 ways that I can do this. I can file it, or I can try to snip it close, but I think if I just do this a little bit, we'll have nice even sides on this, and I'll have a shop full of fiberglass dust. In the other room, I have a belt sander, and the belt sander does a much better job. It does this job in about 2 seconds, but I have to go into the next room and do it, and it's a big hassle. That used to live in this room for this very purpose. It does not anymore. Maybe one day we can bring it back, but there's too much stuff in here. Too much stuff in this room. Oh, and here come the hovercrafts, all the lawn people. Same lawn people that hosted a political rally a little while ago. 4 Seasons, Total Landscaping. I have a bunch of stickers from them. Fast jobs, fast mistakes. Well, yeah. I don't think that belt sander has bitten me. I don't think I've drawn blood with it yet, which is a good thing. Because, boy, that thing can reduce stuff into dust very quickly. You gotta have some reverence for the belt sander. It's quite a dangerous tool. I don't really need to be pressing down very hard on this. I don't know why I am. Yeah, see, if I don't do this, then we get the little ends of all of the plated through holes on it. But the best way to do this would be the belt sander. It definitely is. Especially on a hot day like this, I'm breaking a sweat all over the place. And I gotta be careful, because if I sweat too much, I can actually sweat off the insulin pump. And that has happened to me before. Happened to me at a friend's house. We were hanging a shelf in this kind of weather, hot and humid. And we got real sweaty. Now, I got sweaty enough that it kind of got disturbed a little bit. And I almost went diabetic ketoacidosis because I wasn't getting insulin. I ate a meal and gave insulin, and I was like, what smells like Band-Aids? It's you. You smell like Band-Aids, Father, because insulin has sulfur elements in it added to it so that you can detect it by scent, which is quite useful if your pump is behind your back and it's one of the pods that stays on you, so you can't inspect it closely and you don't know that you're not getting insulin. The only way you can tell is by wetness and the smell of Band-Aid. All right, I'm not going to spend too long doing this. We have to move on at some point. We got to start soldering. And I know you're only supposed to go in one direction with the file, but it doesn't matter because you're not strong enough to flatten down the cutting elements of the file. And this circuit board certainly isn't rigid enough. What is it? What is it? Index again, you have the little scratch index thingies. Hardness, material hardness. The material hardness of fiberglass is a joke, so there's no harm to the file by me going back and forth. The Rockwell hardness, there you go, thank you. The Rockwell index, what? All right, let me just put a chamfer on these. Yeah, there's still little bits of metal on the end. I need to get in there a little closer at some point. MOH, Moe's. Welcome to Moe's. It really doesn't look like it did anything to this. my chamfering really does not show evident. Oh well, good enough. Good enough. Yeah, with the belt sander, it's just like you just tap it and that's done. All right, that's enough of that. Let's get that out of there. When I get the little breakout boards, there will be less of that because I'll just be able to solder pins to everything and then we'll be done. But let's get the iron out. We're going to get some visual ASMR soldering stream stuff going on. I guess the building has to wait until we have all of this stuff ready to go. But we do know that it's all going to fit now. That was the important thing of what we just did, is making sure that all my digital stuff here can fit there. And I'm not going to need much else because we've only got 6 channels. So it's 2, 4, 6, and then 2 input channels. And I have to make a decision about whether or not the analog inputs go all the way to the microcontroller or if they go to this digital to analog converter. This thing would be more useful if we didn't have 10,000 pins, but how many of these are analog ins? PWM, clock, CRX. Where are the analogs? Oh, here we go. These are all analogs all down this bank. So we have up to 17 analog inputs in this thing. So, you know, I think I could dedicate 6 of them, but then where is our I2S? That's out to LR clock, BC, LK, and out A, B, C, and D. Where's out B? B clock 1 is over here, so we need to just, yeah, so those are the ones that are going to be going to the I2S system, the I2C, but for audio. Okay. Do I need to be like the bad synthesizer review guy? The guy who reviews the bad gear reviews. He reviews them well, but he has his own little tune that he puts into all the gear that he tests. He's got his little signature bass line. I guess we're going to start by poking it into the breadboard because that'll align us, and then we can put this on here and solder that in, and then we'll add the rows of headers. Ah, that felt weird. We'll add the rows of headers on the outside. It's a weird thing. You know, I could just solder the headers directly on and then we could wire wrap to that. But I feel like it needs some kind of like a carrier board in case I want to pluck this away, program it, and then bring it back over to this thing. I can probably program it in place. That's probably totally acceptable, but just in case. And the reason that I bought this was so that this would plug into the computer as a USB device, and then I could plug a USB hub into this and have a couple devices that would then, the buttons of it would then be joystick buttons as assigned by the device. But I'm not going to do that anymore because on the sim setup, we're going to actually have individual RP2040s, which actually are more powerful than anything that I've used. But they'll be speaking CAN bus to each other, and we'll have a Raspberry Pi that then acts as the joystick plugged into the computer, which is its own can of worms as well. That's its own can of worms for me to solve. I don't know how I'm going to do that software-wise. But what I would really like to do is use Node-RED for all of that. Hopefully Node-RED is fast enough for all that. That's the other, you know, the unknown with the joystick project is that if Node-RED is slow, it's not going to work out. We've yet to test that. That's something that'll come together eventually. Okay, I need another one of the circular, I'm using the expensive circular pin headers because I ordered about 10,000 of them. I've got too many. I also have a ton of square headers, but what are the circular pin headers? I need like a full one because I need 10,000 pins for this thing. This is nothing but pins. Here's one. Might not be enough. It is definitely not enough. All right, we need to go pin hunting. The hunt continues for parts. I've got them. They're right there. So I just need to grab that bin without knocking over everything, blowing up my whole setup. I knocked over everything. Okay, the setup didn't explode though. Yeah, I told you, I ordered a bunch of these things because I was trying to find a particular size of the female header, the female round pin headers, and couldn't find it, and I ended up ordering a bunch of the wrong sizes. There's two of these. All right, so that'll do. You spend all this money on pin headers, and then they knock that over. Spend all this money on pin headers, and you go, man, that was super expensive. What the hell? Oh man, I spent like all this money on pin headers, and then for a couple of years, you treat pin headers like they're free. Like these things don't cost anything. It's great. And then you're like, wait, I need to order pin headers again. My opinion on them has suddenly shifted. Now that it affects me, I have a different opinion. All right, so we'll use the wire stripper for this. God, that is a lot of I/O on this thing. Oh yeah, so at some point, well, I went on earlier, so I might end early just so I can feed the dog, because I'm just on my own with her today. And then once I feed her, I got to take her for a walk. So depending on how that goes down, we either have a delay of stream or I adjourn for the day and I'll get some of these other little tasks that are less visually stimulating done. We'll see where we get to. All right, and then just measure that out. Okay, two of those. That's why I need the whole row of headers, because usually I split them so many times that I can't find a continuous piece with that many pins. It's so many. Okay, so I got all my caterpillars in a row here. And I need another one of these. A lot of soldering pins. a lot of soldering of individual pins. Oh, did I? No, that's not. Yeah, so that one goes here. And then two of these. And these are for the wire wrapping. Usually wire wrapping, you've got taller posts. I'm just going to have to make sure that the number of connections that I burden with on the headers is fewer than in your typical wire wrap setup. I do have longer pin headers in that bin, but I don't have enough to furnish this project entirely. Let's see, wire wrap headers are like, I don't know if I have those anymore. I had a bunch of sockets that somebody sent in. They were from IBM. Somewhere in this bin, I've got the super duper, yeah, these would be what you would use for wire wrapping, because they're just a little bit taller and they're just a little bit more baller. They can fit more signals on them. Okay, so those are all of our giant headers. Let's get the microscope and the vise over here. The vise is actually right here. So we'll just sneak all y'all to the side. Running out of space, as usual. This thing is going to be the more interesting platform. I was all by my, oh, I forgot. Sorry, I forgot. Let me get YouTube running. There were no comments on YouTube last stream, so auto find and activate. Sorry about that. No live or upcoming stream. What? Oh no, there we go. Oh, we got a lawn dog in there, and we have a weasel box. You got a klaxon? Yes, I do. Bother you so cool? Yes, I know. Love Schottky diodes. Yeah, Schottky's a weirdo. Pump it up. Bow chicka wow. So that's all. Yes, that's all. I don't remember what we were talking about. I'm so sorry, weasel box. Why did that make me laugh? Because I was pumping it full of innuendo. Hope your Mutison makes you feel better. It continues to make me feel like a normal person. That's what insulin does. It's not, I don't feel bad without insulin. Well, I do eventually. I'll feel terrible without insulin, but it keeps me at sort of status normal, right? Yeah, you guys are back on. Sorry about that. Hey, feel free to jump into Twitch, twitch.tv/ohbother. Right there. And tell me that I forgot to do that. I appreciate you guys doing that, because I forgot to do that. I'm microcontroller rich. I ordered way too many of those STM32s, and then I also ordered ESPs for the LED things. It's not a good situation. I got too many microcontrollers. You got approval to join the board. Yeah, you said that last stream. That's awesome. You're getting your sensor to become cyborgian. That's very cool. I'm super happy for you. In my opinion, IMO. In my opinion, it is the more critical technology than the insulin pump. It usurps, the insulin pump is wonderful, and pump therapy in general is its own kind of can of worms. But I believe that the constant glucose monitor is a more vital technology to your average diabetic, because it teaches you how you respond to sugar. So I did make the comment yesterday. Yeah, memory test for me too. Okay, so I'm putting this header into solderless breadboard. Solderless breadboard is important. Even if you're going to make something where you're soldering all the connections together, solderless breadboard allows you to attach a temporary heatsink. All of these metal clips that are inside of the breadboard to give you your connections across the columns or rows or whatever are also pretty decent little heat sinks. So this is an important one. I keep this around just so that I can show what makes up solderless breadboard. And actually, you can 3D print. Nowadays, our 3D printers are good enough to do this kind of stuff. You can 3D print these enclosures and have weird spacings on it. If you think this is like a bad spacing, you can have one that has like 4 whole gaps on it and still has 5 pins coming out. I think that was fascinating that somebody linked that in the Discord. Of course, then you have to, get the clips themselves, put them in, but I don't know where you get, if you just get the clips or if you buy a breadboard and take it apart. But it's so cool that we're able to make this at home. We have breadboard at home. I'll agree with that so far, that that's kind of how I am handling things. All right, you know what? You guys just come in here and you fart. You fart, you fart, you fart. I'm trying to read a very important and heartfelt comment from my YouTubers, who I love. I love you YouTubers. I'm so sorry that I didn't have chat open for so long. I'm learning when it starts to get out of good range. Yeah, you kind of get to know what your suite of symptoms. You guys missed the ideal light turning on during that entire onslaught of on-air stuff that I allow to have happen. All right, so we're just going to solder down the rows here. What this does, the breadboard keeps this at a straight angle to everything, and it holds it holds everything in position for me to solder, and then it also provides a little bit of a heat sink so that my headers don't melt. That's a little brighter than that. Let that reflect the brightness of my desk. Okay, so my soldering iron tips have been getting old, and I went to go order new ones, and it turns out that they're not making it anymore, kind of. And then I watched Project Hail Mary. He uses my soldering iron. That is my iron in his hands. Not specifically, I mean, but it's the Pace ADS-200 handle. The Pace soldering station. It's the same, it's the blue one too. It's the Project Hail Mary. I have the same soldering iron. Please, movie executives, send me a check. Send me a check. I use the same soldering iron that you guys have in your expensive movie. What's this thing do? Did I already answer that? Or no, wait, I'm not. Yeah, that's, wow, that was a, I wasn't seeing the comments from chat either. What have you guys been saying? Oh, no, I did catch it. I just had scrolled up on it at some point. Willow idea. Yep. So if you guys say Willow in chat, a little picture of Willow appears on screen. And if you guys say idea, obviously the idea light tells us that somebody had an idea. I'm going to use this one. My old friend, the slightly round tip for ever so slightly smaller work. And since this thing isn't on yet, why was that one hot? I haven't even have it plugged in. Oh man, oh. It comes with a little silicon tipped. I don't know what the other tools on this thing are for. I don't know what these do. They seem very specific. Anyway. When you mentioned wire wrapping in your collection of tools, do you have the wire wrapping tool? I have the wire wrapping tool. I went to go buy a wire wrapping tool because I thought the emphasis that I'm putting on this thing is actually completely intentional, and you'll learn why in just a second. I have the wire wrapping tool. I expected to just buy a wire wrapping tool. So I go on the internet and I type in wire wrapping tool, and the thing that I buy, I did not expect to get the wire wrapping tool. This is, it came in a box with Radio Shack on the label. This is the Radio Shack handheld wire wrapping tool. This thing is just a simple little screwdriver-like device, and it's got a little cut in the front. It's hard to see, hold on. So you see that little tiny ramp, so that when you move this thing clockwise, the wire that you put, and there's actually a piece of wire in there right now, it sometimes breaks it off, but the wire gets fed into this little trough right here that runs along the tool. You put this down onto the post, and then you start spinning it. And as you spin it, that round wire with the jacket, taken back a little bit, the round wire will start to wrap around the square post, and it'll start with the jacket, and then it'll go to the exposed part of the wire. As you're spinning this tool, that little ramp is just making sure that it puts it all down directly flat on the thing. And without lifting it at all, you keep twisting, and it will make a tight coil with the round wire on the square edge of the post, and that creates a cold weld. But this is the tool, the one from Radio Shack, the one everybody used to use. And it's got the wire stripper in the handle. This is just a little cut plate. Now, I do have the other type of wire stripper, the one for wire wrap, the one where you can measure the amount that you're taking off. That's an important one to have, because then you have consistency in all of your stuff. And we'll have to find where I put it at some point. But wire wrapping is really useful if you're doing a lot of test and measurement stuff, because you can make temporary connections to things that hold on for their lives. It holds on quite well. Yeah, it is the classic tool. I expected just to get, you know, any old wire wrapping tool, but apparently I got the Radio Shack one. I was so happy about that, because that was just around the time when Radio Shack was going belly up and you could no longer find that kind of stuff. All right, so let's do pin headers. This is just simple soldering, and I've done the explanation before. The last time we did a bunch of headers is just that you want to hold heat a little bit longer than you think, but not for a totally super duper long amount of time. You're just trying to make sure that the heat gets into the pin, and so the solder can wick all the way down. I miss Radio Shack. It was all right. I mean, they always start with good intentions, and then eventually the electronics section gets completely disorganized. But it was, you know, at a time when the internet was not all that reliable as a source, it was nice to be able to go get a book that would teach you how to do this stuff. Nowadays, you open up some Wingnuts stream and watch them do it enough, and you think that you can do it yourself even better. And you probably can. Why is this not heating up? Oh, bad angle on the... So see how it kind of like went into the pin header a little bit? Kind of sinks in a little. That means you get the whole via nice and hot. First you get the butter, then you make it hot. Granny's hot butter ice cream. Man, when are they going to do a sequel on that game? They already did the early 90s shooter concept, and I don't think that caught on as well from Hypnospace Traveler. I still have yet to play the game, but I've watched several different streamers do a playthrough, because it's a absolutely fascinating game. It's got that AOL keyword kind of feel. Mom was just telling me Pap used to love to get his free battery every month. They had a free battery every month? No wonder I see those Radio Shack batteries all over the place. Yeah, I need to keep my ear to the ground and find like swap meets and stuff. Just better ways to source crazy electron. I just melted my breadboard. I don't have, I'm viewing this with the exact same view that you guys have, only mine's on a monitor and you guys are probably on your phone or something. But I'm looking at this from the same exact camera feed. And so I didn't know either, news to me. Yeah, it's missed out on a lot of free batteries. Remember when companies used to do that instead of just using all our drinking water? That was a nice time. Now they just use our drinking water and they pour it into something that tells you wrong answers cheerfully. But we used to have free batteries at Radio Shack. But yeah, I gotta find like swap meets and stuff. I need to like good sources for weird electronics, you know? The last time I actually bought something specifically to take apart on stream, it wasn't from a swap meet, it was from a drugstore, it was from CVS pharmacy. And I found this ultrasonic cleaner. And it's one of those moments where I wish I could do one of those every week. I would be like Uo Slab and actually have like a booming career out of this stuff. As of right now, it's not a booming career, but I refuse to do anything but be true to myself. So I'm not gonna do big explodey projects because then my shop would reek. And I like the way my shop smells right now. But if I did, I would love to fill it with things like that ultrasonic cleaner that I got from CVS. Because the ultrasonic cleaner, when I took it apart, this thing that touts its ultrasonic ability to clean your jewelry and stuff, and says ultrasonic on it a lot, what I found was a battery, a switch, and a DC motor with a weight on it. This shit ain't, what do you mean, bother? Did they make ultrasound with the DC motor? No, they did not. No, they did not make ultrasound with a universal low voltage DC motor. No, they did not. No. You may think, but no. No, they were simply just shaking the little tub, the little plastic tub, and calling it ultrasound. How did they get away with this? It was a little $7 thing. It was a wonderful moment that I will never be able to relive, and there were not enough people watching and clipping to get the full breadth of how weird and I wouldn't call it disappointing because I was quite happy that it was so stupid. But why are there 2 crystals? What's going on? What is this? This is a very powerful Teensy 4. I think it's 1 Teensy 4.0. Is this the 0.0? Maybe it is. The Teensy 4.0. Yeah, the motor most certainly did not run at ultrasonic speeds. There was no way that motor would be even remotely capable of doing anything ultrasonic other than if it exploded. It could break the sound barrier once. Sadly, an Exeter doesn't even cost that much. But what do you need to drive the Exeter? Doesn't it need something to drive it ultrasonically a little bit? And that creates heat, which is troublesome, and you don't want people to hurt themselves by putting their hands in the ultrasonic bath when it shouldn't, because that'll inject your skin with water. You know, the ultrasonic toothbrush does use coils, but it uses them in a fast switching method in order to run the toothbrush in a sweeping motion. Real component that should be in any, yeah. You get a free flashlight. Is that where all those plastic crap flashlights came from? Was the Radio Shack free battery, free flashlight deal? I guess it is. Those were crap. Good to have in a pinch, but I'm starting to think that maybe that's why every video game in existence cannot get flashlights right. Like, they just work. If you have a flashlight, if you find a flashlight and have it, it will just work for the duration of your adventure, which, you know, typically is a couple hours. You got like 5 hours. And if you are a soldier who is funded by a professional operation and not Bubba's outhouse, you're going to have a flashlight that functions through the duration of your campaign. Game devs. Why does Master Chief have one of those like shake weight flashlights that works for all of 30 seconds and then dies? Where is the UNSC budget going? That's something that also bothered me about Mass Effect, is that Shepard is funded by the Council? The Council? You mean the penultimate government of space, of this section of the universe? Being that they are many, many, many GDPs of many planets, to make an elite and small super duper police force that goes around solving incredible problems for the Council, the people who run everything, and you cannot buy him a gun. He has to go get menial jobs in order to get the money to buy a sandwich. Why? Why is he, where is his BAT credit card? He should have one. He is the government funding the government. Like, where's the money? Oh, you got to use your own shit, man. We didn't give you any money. Listen, you can flip burgers. You can flip burgers and make enough money to buy the Spectre guns. You're a Spectre, but you can't have the Spectre guns. You've got to actually go flip burgers to get the Spectre guns. Like, their salary, they've got salaries. They get money. They get money when they get home, right? But like me, okay, we're gonna take a whole spaceship with a full crew, and they're gonna go twiddle their thumbs while I flip burgers on the other side of the galaxy so I can buy the gun that is granted to me by being the job that you just gave me. Can you just give me the gun? Just give me the gun and let me go. Ridiculous. Yeah, the Radio Shack free flashlight sounds kind of awesome. My electric toothbrush, of course, is battery operated. It's got a motor in it, like you described. Nice to know somebody's honest about them ultrasonics. Because I have taken apart a couple sonic toothbry on stream, and I was gonna make a sonic knife, but apparently conceptually it's a little bit different, because it's not quite the same thing, because the sonic hair is moving it at ultrasonic speeds, but it's doing this. It's doing this. So a knife doing that doesn't exactly take advantage of the vectors. Okay, so those are headers on the microcontroller. That takes like an hour to do. I hate that. But that's nice and square and even, and the microcontroller is sitting pretty. And ooh, I don't like that. I don't know what happened there. We're not gonna talk about that. That's something that we'll take to the grave. We'll take that to the grave. I guess I could have pushed down on this thing when I anchored the pins. I don't like that at all. Nope, I'm not gonna think about it. We're all gonna collectively forget. What's up, Gonad? How's it going? Flatulent Gonad. All right, we got to get these things down. We're making basically breakout boards for our microcontroller just in case this thing finds its way to other jobs. And then all of these modules, all these squares make a circle, all these modules go together with wire wrapping to make my module testing module. That's why I think I'm such an LED head. Yeah, same. I'm a laser head. I love laser. Me love laser. I have done stuff with lasers since they were rare and special and expensive. Diode lasers, that is. And I've also got, I actually have a krypton argon laser in the back. When are we doing podule testing module? I mean, this thing could probably handle podules somewhat. Unless you're actually talking about pods. This is a pod. This thing will do your homework. I mean, this thing is so powerful, this microcontroller. Is that still lined up? Yeah, it's lined up pretty good. All right, so we need to put this into the perf board. Gotta remember to call it the right thing, or else the commenters on Hackaday will call for your firing. That was the first thing I wrote for Hackaday.com when I wrote for them was something where I talked about, what was it again? I don't remember what the subject was, but I called perforated prototyping board breadboard, and I got in a lot of trouble with those people. I love lasers, fell in love with them this past winter learning about hologram lasers. Holograms are annoying because you need to have zero vibration. It's kind of insane what they go through in order to get rid of all the vibrations, because you're taking basically equivalent of millions of extremely high quality microscopy level photos, and any interference in that will cause issues with your hologram. Most of those cheapo hologram, I'm really going to be bothered by this, but at some point I will take this to the belt sander and clean it up, but we ain't got time for that now, so we're just gonna get this all soldered up. Soldered up. I have not done anything with the 505 except stare at it. I need to get back to practicing on that thing and figuring out all of the ins and outs of how it works. 505 is going to be a cool little thing to make a sort of the infill music for the modular synthesizer. I think it'll be a fun little accessory. Here, the only problem is I don't know if I have musical talent. I don't know. I don't know. I'm worried. I'm worried about you, boo. That I don't have any musical talent. I think with enough time in the sequencer, if I rely on the sequencer more than my musical talents, I will create something. It may be just garbage, but it might be worthy garbage. It might be decent garbage. You never know. But it'll be very sort of sequencery, and if I was a little bit more naturally musically talented, I was going to say talented, but I keep saying talented. I could say proclivity for music. I don't know. Anyway, if I was a little bit more musically musical, I would probably know the things to do to the sequencer to make it sound less like a sequencer. I'm going to rely very heavily on it. Stop worrying, just have fun. That's what my friends said to me too. That's what they said to me too. I said, I need to learn this and I need to make my own sound banks. And they're like, listen, do what's fun. That's, you know, you guys all have a point. Not going to count that out. I will just have fun. I will just have fun. That's what I'll do. So this is a lot of pin soldering. I mean, I wanted a absolutely blistering amount of I/O, and I got it. By God, I got it. So we're gonna do little wire wrapping wires on each of these to carry the signal over to the next pin, and we'll move from there. There's nothing really else that I need to break out of this thing. There's a lot of little like pads and stuff on there to reach other pins on the microcontroller, but I think with the amount of I/O that this thing has, I don't think we're going to be hard pressed for needing any additional stuff. It's basically, we need to take the analogs in, and then I need I2S out, and after that, the pins are just like digital ones and zeros for everything, and they don't need to be high speed. So the muxes will need, I think, 3 pins each, maybe. Yeah, probably 3 pins each, maybe. And then from there, it's just digital and analog outputs. So there will be on each pin, I think you know what, the analog output is not a thing. It's PWM out from an Arduino. So I think this microcontroller might be able to handle audio out from some of its pins, but I don't know which ones. So instead, that's what I2S is handling, is the analog out. But the analog out, I think, can also make a voltage level, so that's pretty good. And then I don't know if it can do DC. I think it can do DC. There was something that it couldn't do. I forget what it was. What else does it need? Oh, digital inputs for gate signals. But then again, I wonder if I can just have the analog input be the digital input. So I don't think I need that many pins. Yeah, analog right is a PWM. You can try to tune a resistor and a capacitor to make it into like a voltage level, but it's difficult to work with at best, which is why it's nice to have I2S on this, because then I can send frequencies out to the I2S. Other ways of doing it with the Arduino parlance, with the analog right being PWM, you can also do something like a Salin key filter, which is basically playing Flappy Bird with the voltage level. And the Salin key filter allows you to have a high-speed PWM signal go into the Flappy Bird and make it into a waveform. This is why I wish I was like an esteemed professor of electrical engineering at a university, because I would be able to give the Flappy Bird lecture in the year of our Lord 2026, and all the students would collectively groan because it's a very dated reference at this point. So you know a lot of technical stuff. Yes, it's a part of the job is being smarter than all of you weirdos. I'm probably not smarter than all of you. All right, let's see. Let's get this. I'll use the wire cutter tweezers. I have all kinds of wire wrap wire that sit up on this desk. Yeah, up here. Just a whole bunch of wire wrap wire. That'll come down when we actually start putting this thing together. Oh, it more likely is, yes. I don't know if they would have, who's the artist that made Flappy Bird popular? It was a rapper, right? Was playing the game and made it popular. I forget. Lest you forget. Yo, 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 yo. So what I'm going to do is just sink a little wire into the solder of each of these pins and bring it out to the pin next to it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I don't really think I need like a row of pins on the inside. No, that's not going to be tall enough for a row of pins anyway. I was thinking, what if I wanted to wire wrap it on the other side and bring it around it? No. Just KSS. Hold on, let's skip that. That. And then, you know, I guess I'm going to use these guys to cut it. These are cutting tweezers that I found online. I think they were a little expensive. I think these are on the $30 side. But I figure it would be an extremely useful tool when I'm working with these, because when I build something on perforated prototype, I still use the wire wrap wires and I solder them all over the place, and it ends up making a pretty sloppy looking board. I think this will allow me to clean it up a little bit, not by virtue of its cutting wires, but by virtue of being able to strip the ends of the jacket just by giving it a light pinch and then pull. This is how they used to do it. I can't remember the old man's quote, but I love the quote. If it worked once, it can work Algernon. Wait, it can work again. What? Again? Am I supposed to say that weird, or was that just a typo? Oh, I think you're looking for the red-green quote. Where this is only, remember, this is only a temporary fix, unless it works, in which case it's permanent. Crumbs in the keyboard. Those are some heady crumbs. I have to do this 5,000 times. Who envies the work that I'm doing today? 4,099. 4,098. $4,097. I don't think there's anything I can do to speed this up. I think we're fixed in our timing here. Although, to be fair, if I solder in the other one, I think I can get solder into both pins at the same time. I'm worried about when I do solder this in, if I apply heat to just one pin in order to jiggle the wire into position, I think what I'll be doing is heating it up enough that I can accidentally bend the pin in a weird direction. It would be faster, though, if I had both of them done at once. This is saving me time in the future for when I have to solder the other end. But if I solder them both, then I can just break off the end of wire. I think that'll be faster. Yeah, let's, so I'm gonna change up my method here. This is part of doing this, is that you change methods. And I have these big female headers that I can plug in to pin headers and stabilize and heat sink them. So let's see here. What are doing? I am doing, oop, that doesn't cover the whole thing. How's everybody's weekend going? The start of the weekend. I took Willow to the airport this morning and I put her on a random plane. No, I took her to the airport and dropped my folks off. That was enough of an adventure that she's been quiet all afternoon. I will have to take her outside soon. Well, it's only noon. It's only noon. She should be okay for a bit. I guess I'm going to put the whole thing in the vise. We'll get another one of these headers if it's long enough. And we can post both of them out of there. What are you doing? It's none of your business. None of your business. Jeez. Now, what I'm doing is we're building my title is exactly what we're doing. We're building a Eurorack modular synthesizer module. What's purpose is to test other modules, and we're doing it by assembling modules modularly so that we can test all of the elements of this bit by bit. So in order to put together such a complicated system, we're doing it piece by piece. There's a lot of different sort of elements that have to come together in order to make this. And what this will enable me to have is 6 channels that I can have inputs and outputs selectable as I please. I'm basically throwing myself the keys to my own design, and then software is going to solve all of our problems and use all our drinking water. So in software, I can, and I don't know if I need to yet, I need some way that I can see like a precise way to measure something like a sine wave going into the Arduino. And I think there's some plugins that I can use in order to do that. I kind of want to anchor this thing before anything else. So what I'm going to do is, because these female headers are longer than the actual micros, so what I can do is just solder them. I can anchor them on both ends first on a flat surface and make sure that they're square like that. So let's see, hopefully that's square. I think so. If these just press a little bit up against there. Okay, 1 sec. Let me just get that initial solder on, and we'll evaluate if it looks okay. And then I'll put it back on the microscope fully, and we can do all the other headers. What is that? Oh, that poked up the wire. Okay, there's that. All right, let's take a look. I'm taking such a DIY approach because I don't have money for these expensive Eurorack things. So what this will allow me to do is continue to build and service all of my friends' modular Eurorack stuff. But I can do it a little easier, and I don't necessarily need to involve the scope, the oscilloscope and everything. I will probably still involve the scope though, because that Rigol is a much nicer scope than anything I can build. But it would be nice if I could get precision sign measurement from Arduino software. I certainly know that this thing will be able to pull, it'll be able to measure and store whatever voltage values are coming into it with complete ease because it's such a fast microcontroller. I feel that it'll be faster if I attach the wire and then just break it off. You cleaned out your keyboard? You evicted the current residents. I did that recently and it was disgusting. Disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting. I don't know what the hell. I guess I was using it as a paper plate or something, but man, the institutional garbage that fell out of that keyboard is appalling. Nasty. Yeah, this isn't the very exciting part. I mean, we just went through the more exciting part of designing the trays that'll hold on to all the electronics. There's 2 of them. One of them has all the digital stuff on it, all the 3-volt stuff, and the power supply. And then the other one is going to have all the analog stuff, all of the op amps boards, which I don't have yet. I've got a bunch of little breakout boards coming in the mail. Since it's 6 channels, I'm probably going to do 3 2-op amp boards for each channel. Each channel has an input for analog and digital and an output for analog and digital. So they'll need, each channel is going to need, I think, a minimum of 2 op amps. And then each LED gets its own op amp as well, which is a special circuit that'll light up the LED as the voltage level comes in for modular synthesizer stuff. Managed to do the wiring. That was the CNC machine coming along. That was way more annoying than I wanted. That's how wiring always is. Really, I go, man, today's gonna be a fun day. I get to do wiring. And then you go, man, you know what? Wiring sucks. Like, I've been doing this for so long. I thought it would be fun. Yeah, he's almost an engineer is making a CNC machine, something that I had ambitions of doing, but now all the parts are being turned into a pick and place. I probably could have used the Delrin rollers, all the glut of additional Delrin rollers that I have, and saved those linear bearings for a CNC. I probably should have done that. I could always convert it back over, but the parts that I was going to make into a CNC, I have diverted into a pick and place because I think that's a more appropriate thing and it'll be nice visually. But so now I'm living vicariously through almost an engineer's project, which is very similar. It's even more annoying because it's like 2 sections of wire for each connection because they're all fed into terminal blocks. Yeah, that's the right way to do it though. If anything breaks, you can fix it so easy with that system. I did that for the Brew controller, and while annoying, having all of the wires labeled and routed and going into terminal blocks on either end it's very nice. You know what CNC you should build? What, CNC Music Factory? Everybody dance now. Bah, 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 bah. The burn the sub CNC. What's that? I don't know what that is. Never heard of that. Don't mention that in my chat again. I'll kill you. Yeah, no, I should be working. I should absolutely be working on burn the subs. You're right. You are right. That is going to require a bunch of wiring. And I guess what I'm going to do is get the table out of there, and then we'll have a little acoustic jam session where I've got the cameras over there. Toss, he said the bad word. I meant in Minecraft. You know I meant in Minecraft. All right, so now I need to attach the wires, and I think this will go a lot faster with both of these things soldered on. What's the point if I can't wire wrap around the post and have the signal actually go out to the post? Here goes. Let's try not to make this explode. I mean, if you're doing it the way that I'm doing it, planning on doing it, piecemeal, you should have relatively low incidence of explosion. Let's go from the bottom up. Oh, this thing turned off. I was like, why can't I solder things anymore? My iron treats itself as if it's being used in like at night in bed, and I've fallen asleep. That does not appear soldered. This wire is notorious for not actually soldering in. And then I need something to cut it with, I guess. How am I doing today? I woke up at 5, and I know you guys probably wake up early too, but I don't typically wake up at 5, so I am weirdly sleepy, and we have oddly repetitious tasking today. I'm gonna like fall asleep on camera. We started a little bit early, just because I was twiddling my thumbs. I got all my morning stuff done, so I was able to, and the house is quiet. I don't have people constantly calling upon me to do things. Lock in, bro. Listen, why would I lock up my brother? Why would I do that? Why would I do that, brother? God, this sucks. I'm starting to lose my mind. It's almost like Uo's Lab is in my chat. Weird. We mentioned Slab before, and I think I recommended, oh yeah, because you use Blender to do 3D stuff. I'm out here using Fusion 360 because it's visually very pleasing, but the thought was that Slab is making money off of it, and so he can't use, you've gone to FreeCAD. See, I haven't tried any of these tools because I have been an AutoCAD person since college. They cut my teeth in AutoCAD on the command line even, but I've been using this thing for forever. And then recently with 3D printing, because again, chat also forced me to be a 3D print stream. We got the Creality CR10S and have been modifying it for 10 years. When did they buy that for me? It was in like 2017 that I bought it. Oh my God, it's been 10 years. They're pretty similar to Fusion now. Some people in like the Discord have posted things from FreeCAD, and it did look very similar. This is my aborted attempt to put the entire module testing module onto one PCB so that I could order it and it would be nice and organized. But instead, what we're doing is we're making these cages. There's going to be 2 of them sitting behind the module, and then all of my modules will go on those 2 cages, and they'll pack behind this VFD. This is a Nora Takatron VFD, so it's a green display. It's gonna look really cool. And then I'm gonna have 6 channels that I'll have muxes connecting to that I'll be able to configure in any way. And so if the Arduino, if the Teensy 4 that's buried in this assembly right now can handle analog directly in, that means I can do anything I want with the 6 channels. But yeah, it's gonna be, all of the amplifiers will be on one of these boards, and then all the digital stuff on the other with the power supply. And so I'll have the capability of doing all of the measurement and testing and output signals that I need to continually fix my friends' synthesizers when they plug them in backwards. And believe me, they do. Yeah, my title is completely grammatically correct. That's the added value that Barther brings to the stream. The subtracted value is that I'm sitting here soldering individual pins instead of doing something more interesting. Unfortunately, we got all of our tasks done and everything is going to fit perfectly. And so what I have to do is this. But this Slab is here. Check this out, brother man. Check this out. Check this out. If you haven't run away already, I have hooked into Node-RED a RAID alarm that does that. When we get channel raids, this mofo goes, oh, it's awesome. I have 2 of them, and I'm going to put them up on the wall. They're going to be up in the background of the face shot. Here, where's that? They're going to be up there. I'll put one like there and there so that I can have the shop lights turn off and those things do their thing. And then, in addition to that, maybe you can guess what this is. Air raid siren. It's got 2 different frequencies, and I can swap these out for one another. I'm waiting for the motors to get here in the mail, but this is the 3D printed air raid siren. So when I get all that together on a raid, it's gonna go, and then the light's gonna go off, and my dog will start barking, and all hell will break loose. The one that we need to do, and the thing that I was considering pivoting today over to do, is so simple. It's so simple. It's so simple. We need to make the money gun work. Money plane. Hold on, I'm moving. Uh-oh, my whole setup's gonna blow up. All right, never mind. That's a money gun. We're basically gonna throw a microcontroller in that and then change the mount so that it can be aimed. And the other disruptive things that people will be able to do is probably maybe just bits, but maybe also money. We'll set it off and it'll just spit money at me on large contributions. So it's comedically, it is a very funny shot because I can sit here completely deadpan and it just throws money at you. But there's no way to control how much it's throwing out because sometimes that motor will grab several dollar bills and throw them at the people that you're aiming it at. So it'll either be some or all of the money in the money gun will be distributed. So this is the unfortunate part about Bother's stream is that right now, kind of boring. Kind of, if I'm gonna admit, like we're not exactly Twitch gaming. I should have Subway Surfers in a little window next to this, or maybe just somebody jingling keys. I do need to get that GIF or PNG or some kind of animation of that into OBS so that I can just have like the jingling keys thing go over here. Guns, more guns. I'm not gonna, Twitch is real weird about their toss. And if you point a gun at your webcam, they can ban your stream. So at one point I was going to try to do the, clean your gun on, why is it purple? What just happened? Ooh, Slab. What did you do? Oh, Anonymous gave Uo Slab a tier 1 sub. This light is multi-purpose. If somebody says idea in chat, the idea light lights up. This is the good idea light. But if somebody subs, it'll either go red or purple. And if it's purple, that means it's gift sub. So I've got it sitting in the desk disruptively right in front of my face. I have these wonderful indicators of things going on. And if you say Willow, a little picture of Willow pops up, my dog will pop up on the screen. She is sleeping upstairs. I don't hear barking today. I will need to take her for a walk at some point, and I do kind of need to feed the dog, but that's in like a little bit. We've got some time. I started kind of early because I was just twiddling my thumbs at home. Let's pull that back a little bit. What's going on? Hey, get over there. Hey, okay, that's good enough. Yeah, so all that stuff going on. I got the big simulator setup sitting behind me, and I've been playing around with my old keyboard tray to give it a center console. I think that's what the keyboard tray is going to end up being. It's going to be the horizontal center console, and then at a right angle from that, I can put the front panel controls up in front of my face. That'll be a really fun thing to have. And then, of course, we need to crack more of the car hardware so that we can have the chair move under CAN bus. And then I can have you guys try to fold my clothes while I'm still wearing them. Comfortable enough to spend the 300 pounds on the motion components now. While you're delirious with heat stroke, maybe order all the rest of the CNC parts. It does bad ideas too. So it's called the Good Idea Fairy because they're all bad ideas. It's sort of a fey thing. Actually, that's a military thing, isn't it? It's the grunts getting a good idea to do something differently than instructed. All right, now this guy. Those spinny lights are wonderful. They're like whimsically simple. It's kind of amazing how simple they are. It's literally just a spinny mirror bit and a motor. That's it. Just a coil light and a motor. And old ones are cheap. New ones are really expensive for some reason. But then the lamp can be replaced with an LED lamp, which we did, because that extra light is enough to power through my my Streamlight setup. Don't make me giggle. What? You mean? Oh yeah, I've got a Willow button. Actually got a button on the Stream Deck. I can just sleep, wake, butt, sleep, awake, butt. I need to get more pictures in there. I need more pictures of Spider-Man. Ah, see, that's what was going on. This is like all lifted up. Yeah, that's... Well, so Willow doesn't visit anymore. We're too loud for her. Me making all this noise down here, my corgi just wants to sleep. So what she does is she parks her butt at the front door where we leave the glass door closed and the main door open. So she just sits behind glass and barks at literally anything that moves, including a squirrel that lives just in front of her. But she does not appreciate the nuance of the art of streaming content and shouting at your furniture. So she'll just exit the room when I start streaming. I don't think I've got a stroke yet. A heat stroke. It's a little different. It's a little different. There's little subtle differences. What I do have is a neck that's redder than Mr. Krabs. Oh, what are you doing this outside? Or is it just in a hot environment? I know I don't understand why your air conditioning doesn't work. You guys have all the same components in those air conditioners. You guys just don't know. You Brits just don't know that, like, if you're in a row house and you've got air conditioning, it's in a particular room, and that room is sacred. You keep the door closed. You keep the towel at the door, under the door, to insulate it, and you do everything you can to keep the cool in that room, because it's the assigned cool room. Obviously, nowadays we have central air that's basically turning dollars into coolness. It's a lot of dollars lately, but yeah, the way this house is structured, I'm sitting here in the basement. One thing that Slab wasn't able to do when he was here is visit the setup. It would have been kind of cool to get his voice into a stream, but he was just breezing through Philly. But yeah, this is in a basement, and it's a finished basement room, and we had them do extra insulation in this room. So when the AC is on, if there are other people in the house that would appreciate not sweating by just moving their limbs a little bit, then the AC has to be on pretty hard, and it all pools down here. So I am currently on the verge of shivering. I have a fan on my back because I'm soldering, obviously, and of course I'm a fat guy, so I need to be air cooled. But like with the fan on my back and all the AC that's pooling in the basement, I am freezing. I am quite cold. That's why in the dog days of summer, you will see me wearing a thick flannel shirt. One, it's because I don't want to think about what I'm putting on in the morning because I'm not a functioning human being. But two, it's because if I'm going to be, there's like not enough solder on this. If I'm going to be in the shop, then I need to have layers. Also, I always wear an undershirt because the diabetes equipment sometimes will find its way into a blood providing entity of my body. And so I will end up bleeding all over everything, and I'll ruin expensive shirts with my hemoglobin. It is one of the weird realities of being diabetic. One of the weird unspoken diabetic realities. It's what makes an office job a little bit weirder as a diabetic. You're like, if I wear a white shirt, I definitely need something under it so that if I give myself a shot of insulin in my stomach, I don't have a big red spot on my shirt. You got red on you. Even my store lost the entire ice cream section. It all just became cream. Oh no. That's horrifying. Yeah, you guys are just not ready for this, huh? Well, maybe this year you guys all gird your loins. And next year, you can tell the heat wave to F off. Because you know it's going to happen again. It's just the world we live in now. Thanks, Grandma. Thanks, Pop Pop. Appreciate all the hydrocarbons you guys put in the atmosphere. It's nice. It's great. It's nice and warm, and fall weather. We don't have fall anymore, but you know, when we had fall, that was yeah. It's ridiculously hot in the Northeast. Wasn't there, it was like one little corner that wasn't under a storm and heat advisory. Just like one little northern town. Was it like, well, it had a weird name. Well, because it's the north, but anyway. It's like being trapped in a giant armpit. Well, with all that, yeah, the houses in the north are not, they're like all stone, piles of stone that are right next to each other. It's very insulating. No attic fans, all that. And then your home wiring, your AC that's coming in from, like, where is that? I thought you guys always would brag that you're able to boil water faster than us. But when it comes to powering an AC compressor, it's the same AC compressor that we have. But you guys have more power to compress. Like, where's all the smug tea boiling attitude that you guys had when we were comparing electrical systems in the winter? You guys have weird like fused rings, and you have to add plugs to all of your appliances. You can boil water faster because it's already 40°C. That's true. Where's all the smugness now? I say, paying hundreds of dollars for AC in the summer. The bill's gonna suck. The bill's gonna be really bad. Yeah, I don't know. At some point, and it's hard to come up with ideas that project people like us can collab on. I've been trying to think of one with Gonad for 10,000 years, but doing some kind of a collab with UO would be awesome. But I have not had that sort of knock it out of the park idea. The latest good idea that I had was so long ago, but that was with Tom Thinks. And he does like a puppet show kind of thing. Back when he was small enough to acknowledge the presence of such a tiny channel. Now he's doing like animated ads for Twitch. Like, but we made him a little button so that he wouldn't get carpal tunnel syndrome using his puppet setup. So he could use the voice changer that he has. Down to do a casual build stream. I do morning streams now, so it could be done during your time. Well, maybe we should think of something. If I can think of something, maybe we could do a casual thing. This was not supposed to be just a soldering stream, but having the really nice microscope makes it so that I can pivot and do visual ASMR, hang out with chat, soldering streams. These are always fun to do. I just wish it was more interesting solder. One of the main projects that's cropped up is to build a pick and place. And once I have the manual pick and place, I can then do that cool shot that you always see on the front page of Reddit. And I'm like desperately begging my chat to like, please just post it on Reddit, because I'm not allowed to. If I do it, I'm being a sycophant, self-promoting jerk. But the shot of all of the solder paste turning into solder and all the electronics orienting themselves based on surface tension. Wanted to build one of the music from outer space synths. Music from outer space synth. You wanted to do one of those. Music from outer space. Which one? What is that? My editor's making a pick and place now. Yeah, so pick and place, you have an editor. Jesus Christ, I'm fucking talking to royalty. Oh, my people are working on something like that. The staff is working on one of those. You have staff? Anyway, I only get staph infections here in the dirty lake that I have. Anyway, no, so the pick and place machine is not one of those computerized super duper ones. Why'd you start streaming at 10 a.m.? It's so unlike you, Bother. Oh, here's where I get scolded by one of my viewers for streaming. I'm so sorry I went live and have more content. Hold on. So the manual pick and place is this thing. This is such a busy shot. I only have one room to put everything that I own. And so this is way too busy of a shot. It would be nice if I could spread out a little bit more. But anyway, the pick and place, manual pick and place is not like, because every pick and place you look up is like an automated machine. And so what I'm building is not like a machine that's going to computerize it. It's literally, it's just punched my cameras. It's literally just a wrist rest that moves around lightly. And on top of that wrist rest, the wrist that you rest, you would have something that holds out just this floating snaky thing, robot arm. This is designed so that when you have your resting on the wrist, you have this this is a very high-tech reciprocating dingle arm, but you would have something floating that stays parallel to the workpiece. And then from that, okay, you can stop doing that now. Stop that. Okay, let's put this aside. Essentially, we're copying a $5,000 machine that I can't afford. There's no way that I can afford to buy a $5,000 machine. So what we're doing, even down to the airline systems that power it, we are copying this from PCB Unlimited. This is something that the FBI had during my stint there, and I've used to build things. I can't actually tell you what I built, but I did build stuff with this. And what this does is it has this reciprocating dingle arm that holds a lure lock syringe tip. Used to work at the FBI, yeah, as a contractor with Booz Allen Hamilton, before anybody knew what the name was. But what this is this holds the part parallel, and that little dingly handle arm, that little thing on the end, you twist, and that twists the syringe head. So using that, you can float over your part, pick it up, twist it into position, and then drop it again. And it uses like a Venturi vent system in order to pick up parts. So once I build that, I'm going to build up a filter for the synthesizer. This one here. Ain't she a beaut? Steve's MS-22 dual VCF, voltage controlled filter. And that has a lot of little tiny little parts. But this can go on the hot plate, and then I can use the good microscope to get that beautiful shot. I actually might just use the Logitech webcam, because then I can get an isometric shot of all of the solder paste melting into solder and then all the parts kind of rearranging themselves. I know everybody called me a Fed from Uo's thing, but I'm not a Fed, I'm a contractor. We were called in, actually it was, the calling in didn't happen when I was there. I looked at a job listing and went, holy shit, and then applied and got the job. Because a friend of mine, a friend of a friend in a frat or something like that, but whatever. I worked at the FBI. This is Fed hair? What are you talking about? I am so far removed from a Fed. I've worked at too many festivals to have sunglasses and sneakers and oddly unwrinkled socks. I worked at the FBI, not a Fed. No, listen. What was going on overseas was that all these bombs were going off, and they all shared designs, and somebody who did signal decoding at the time said, these are really similar, and then boom, he's the head of a new unit that brought in a whole bunch of contractors to analyze the engineering that went into bombs. that the FBI was literally recovering and then FedExing back to themselves. The chain of evidence wasn't like a federal case kind of thing, so we had different rules. But what I would do is I would coordinate several teams, or just do all the work myself, doing RF analysis, circuit analysis, and then the overall functional description of how these things work and what the different stages and codes and things like that were, the frequencies, all this information we put into a big report, made it sound like the same author always wrote the report, and then poof, off it went to the intelligence community. But that's compartmentalization. So compartmentalized. I had no idea what any of that stuff did after the fact. But it was a cool job because you got to work with other engineers, as I waggle my finger all over the place. You got to work with other engineers in order to solve problems. You basically, it's a puzzle, and you have to solve the puzzle, and then you have to document how to solve the puzzle. So did it pay well? No. No, it did not. With contractors that do jobs like that, sometimes what the parent company will do, and this is something, I don't think that's unique to Booz Allen Hamilton, but what the parent company will do is say, hey, we're like really tired of paying you all your salaries. So what we're going to do is we're going to move all of the managers over to new projects. We need your now blossomed skill in management elsewhere. We're going to make all the lower level guys management, and then we're going to bring on new talent. It's called greening up the staff. And so the managers went, wow, that's neat. Let's discuss that with ourselves. And they said, you know what we should do? We should just fire everybody who's below us. That's what they considered greening up the management at the time. This was during the very beginnings of the millennial plague of having no salary, no girlfriend, job. But like basically what they were doing is all of the raises were suddenly not in line with the cost of living. So I was making a little bit more than not being able to afford living there, but not by a lot. I got a nice car and then I paid off the nice car. That's about how far ahead I got. And I was going to buy a house, but then I moved back to Philly where I got a medical device design job. It was a Burning Man. I got a job through Burning Man. Call me a Fed again. I got a job with a friend at a medical place in Philly working on like testing medical hardware. And so I had things like force sensors inside syringe caps for the nurse to try to pull off and get the amount of force that they were putting into that kind of stuff. It was really cool. But then they decided that they really didn't like my friend, so they let him go, and I was on the chopping block. And the first like little thing that I did, they went, bye. I was like, okay, bye. Haven't you hacked your own medical equipment? It's very well documented, but yes, I use something called the Android Auto Pancreas system. So this is an insulin pump. It's about $35 worth of electronics, at least years ago it was. And it is disposable. This thing is full of coin cell batteries and a pretty nice microcontroller that I don't know how to use. I kind of want to have my own microcontroller board that is just recovered microcontrollers from insulin pumps that kept me alive for 2 or 3 days, because that's all this lasts, 2 or 3 days, and then you throw it out. So what this is a full injection system, draw and inject and all that stuff in one little electronic package. It has a memory wire, and the memory wire pulls on a pawl, P-A-W-L, that goes like this. And the little fingers of the pawl part of the pawl, and I have a visual aid because I explained this earlier, it moves a gear. So there's 2 gears that go back and forth, and it goes boop, and then boop, right? So 1, 2, 1, 2, and that spins. When you fill the reservoir of that thing, it's like a syringe, right? You fill it, and a little plunger goes backwards. And that plunger is a nut and a bolt, essentially. It's got like a threaded inside and a smooth outside. And when the gear system starts moving, it will release a spring that clamps onto that and rotates with that electric motor, essentially. As that happens, it will advance a screw and push a plunger and push insulin into my body. Well, okay, so now the tampering occurs when they tell you that you need to completely lock your phone down in order to use their software. You have to have a special kind of alert system and all that so that this life-sensitive device has the ability to warn you of stuff. And I said, I absolutely will not have my phone going off in the middle of the night. So what you can do is you can become an Android developer. When you become an Android developer, you get to compile all of this software on somebody's GitHub. Then you go through a month of training it. What this is a closed loop. This is called the Android Auto Pancreas system. A program already exists called XStrip, which allows you to have all of your glucose level information from a constant glucose monitor uploaded to the cloud. And it is actually being uploaded to a, what is it called? What was that website called again? Heroku app. It's going to a Heroku app, and that Heroku app has a log of all of the insulin and glucose level information in it. So now all of my record keeping is done automatically. I've closed the loop with the Android Auto Pancreas system that's giving me these little tiny boluses of like half a unit in order to keep that glucose level so flat. That's actually not the good version of it. Does this only activate? Oh, it only activates that one. There's a framed one that looks way better. Hold on. I pointed the OBS to the wrong one. Man, I won't say I envy you for being diabetic, but boy, did you get to play with cool tech. Well, so I haven't done any modifications to the system. I'm using it as I'm supposed to. You know, settings obviously are different. This thing has actually enabled me to not think constantly about what's happening with my diabetes. I can actually not think about diabetes for a little bit. And I have had diabetes longer than most of you have been alive, statistically anyway. I have had diabetes for 31 years. And so this is the first time that I've been able to actually turn the brain off a little bit and have consistent management. Even when this goes wrong, I know how it goes wrong, and it's only for a temporary little thing. But like, internal organs always do their job, right? Mine doesn't. And so I have to think about doing my own organ stuff. This has allowed me to have something that is as repeatable, and basically it's what I do here. It's what we've been doing. I automate anything that I fuck up, right? Everything that I mess up, I've automated. All of the drilling of holes, 3D printer. I can just now put measurements in there and hey, it works perfectly. I'm able to actually build stuff without iterating through designs constantly. That has drawn me apart from what UO does, because UO will get the job done, whereas I will kick the can up the road and do it properly later. So that's not so great for streaming, but it is kind of the stuff that I want to show you guys. But yeah, so that attitude, taking that towards diabetes has been hugely beneficial. For the first time ever, I had a telehealth with my endocrinologist. Endocrinologist is the diabetes doctor. This guy I have been seeing for 31 years. Actually, 25 years, I've been seeing the same person. When I moved to Virginia, I got a different doctor for a little bit. But anyway, I'm back on that original doctor, and he was actually happy with my progress. He said, "This looks great." And I was telling him like, well, I could tighten up this and that. And he's like, "You got to live your life." I'm like, where's this side of my doctor coming from? Like, they would never say, "Hey, you should relax a little bit." Like, no, like, he actually said that to me. Weird. Actually, the funny thing is, that doctor I've been seeing for a while, one of the people that came to my stream when I did the whole stream about upgrading to this new system, I did a whole stream about it to show the process and the compiling on Android and everything, loading it up, side loading the program. Hey, guess what Android's trying to limit us, not let us do, is side loading. I may have to register as a developer or something. My CC keeps writing, "I have boobitis. I got a condition that's low boobies in my life. I need to solve it." Don't say that to people. Don't say that to people. Don't say that to people. Anyway, so yeah, so doing that whole stream, someone who was involved with this AAPS system got into contact with me. They happen to live in Philly. They see the same doctor that I do. So it's crazy. He's not allowed to talk about us to each other, but we're allowed to talk about him. HIPAA's fun. HIPAA laws are fun. All right, what kind of combo did I miss while I was... That's one of several rants that I go on here at the stream. I had to turn off my stress monitoring on smartwatch because it was highly inaccurate. Yeah, and they desperately want to do more diabetes stuff with smartwatches, and I don't know what. There used to be a non-invasive, well, supposedly non-invasive monitor for glucose levels, and everybody would always talk to you about it, and you'd have to tell them, it sounds fascinating, but I would rather stick a hole in my finger than wear this ultrasonic device that coaxes my blood plasma out of my skin using sound waves. It was very difficult to calibrate, and you had to wear a garbage bag over it if you took a shower. So it's like, everybody, oh, inhalable insulin, cool, yeah, that's great. We know that the human body loves inhaling crystals of stuff, loves it. Inhalable insulin. And then people are like, what about okra water? Every month for 31 years, there has been a new, they will cure diabetes with this. Every month for 31 years. So until there is a bottle that says cure for diabetes on my desk, I am going to ignore all of these articles that are trying to get funding. It's very frustrating. The latest and greatest, the thing that might actually cure diabetes, because what happens when you get, depending on what diabetes you get, and everybody's different, everybody gets diabetes differently. Like type 2 is not always just caused by an excess of fat. Sometimes your pancreas just can't keep up, and that counts as type 2 diabetes. I know more skinny type 2s than I know overweight ones, but stereotypes be stereotyping, and that's the way it is. So with the typical diabetes case, what happens is some kind of an infection, a virus or something, causes your immune system to go, holy fuck, and then it attacks your body. And it attacks your body in the pancreas, in the islets of Larynge. The pancreas is essentially a jello mold filled with glands. And any surgeon will tell you, do not the pancreas, because if you the pancreas, the patient can very easily bleed out. And since it is just this sponge of glands, it is a very dangerous area to try to fix and cut. So do not the pancreas. If you guys are ever doing surgery, like you do, don't mess with the pancreas. But anyway, so in the islets of Larynge, your immune system decides, hey, fuck this guy. I want him to have to stick his finger every week for 28 years. And so it decides to attack the islets of Larynge. Why did it do that? Why did it kill my beta cells? And they are called beta cells. They are beta cells. So I am so fucking alpha, you guys, that I don't have beta cells in my body. Not even a little beta cell. I'm done with the honeymoon period. I'm not making any insulin. That's how alpha I am. But anyway, so your immune system attacks that. So if all of a sudden you get, let's say, a transplant, or you use stem cells to make new beta cells, then it's going to go all clavicular on your betas and destroy them again, your immune system. So what they've done in China is basically gene sequencing to figure out why your immune system be doing that, and then turn it off so that you can then use stem cells to create new beta cells. Pretty complicated. Although I also heard there was some kind of a steroid that some researcher was trying to use to cure diabetes for like a week or a month at a time, I think it was. Okay, this is a fun part of diabetes. My finger muscles are currently trying to contract my hands because I'm pinching stuff and I'm using up these guys, and these guys are starting to get a little bit too much lactic acid around them. Yeah, they're there. Yep, that's like steel. Woo! My mitts. Okay, so you saw what was happening there. This is essentially permanently folded down. There we go. Okay. Woo! That happens every now and then. It's not painful. It's just weird. It actually can be painful. Thanks. Let me take note of that. It's just all that stuff that people don't know about diabetes, all that stuff that I just explained. And then they'll come to me every week and say, hey, guess what? They cured diabetes. And I go, oh, did they? Because some researcher wanted to do one little tiny little facet of research about diabetes and discover that, hey, this side protein does this, and then they go, that's cool, here's more money, you got your funding, and they go, cool. And none of that's really focused towards like actually functionally producing a cure for diabetes. We are just cash cows to the industrial medical system, huh? Hey, could I maybe not pay as much for insulin because I kind of need it or I'll die? No, okay, that's cool. The price is going up. Okay, that's cool. It's okay. That's okay. It's still manufactured the same way, literally brewing it like it's beer with yeast that has been given a certain gene sequence so that it synthesizes the insulin, and then they just feed sugar to the yeast. It has been overwhelming learning about the beetus from my mom. You know, I've been telling people for a century that it's indentured servitude. It is a modern indentured servitude because in America, our health insurance is tied to our job. And also in America, I have gotten on the public health plan, and I can't make a certain amount of money a year or hold assets apparently that equal that amount, or they'll drop me from the public plan, and then everything gets very expensive. So I am holding on for dear life to my health plan, my public health plan. But like, you know, I didn't choose this. I didn't one day say, hey, guess what, pancreas? Chicken butt, and then punch myself in the stomach. Oh, I gotcha. No, I didn't do that. Don't call me old timer. I'm not old. My generation seems to think that after 30, you're just dust. That on there. Yeah, sure. Ranting and soldering. This is what I do. It's always nice when we have an actual like thing with electronics to do. I've been trying to do more of those physical things, but we should also work on that pick and place a little bit more. Burn the subs, is, of course, needs wiring. I need to make a whole wiring harness for that. That's going to be kind of its own little challenge. I kind of want to redo the gantry for Burn the Subs too, so that all the wiring is up top instead of down below. That way the drag chains can rely on gravity a little bit more to keep them out of their own way. All right, get that right there. Bada bingish. Sometimes it gets very quiet. Well, you know, there's a lot of this in my future to build this synthesizer tester, so I'm gonna try to. Oh, hey, you're back. What's up, Untitled Goose? Untitled Goose. I figured the faster way to do this would be to solder both of these at once and then just break the wire off at the end instead of measuring it all out. Yeah, I hope you guys are surviving well overseas. Just got to keep programming my damn robot. Well, that sounds fun. I'm putting together a system for testing modular synthesizer modules. I've needed this device for some time because my boneheaded friends will go out into the world and plug in all their synthesizers backwards, which makes this wonderful sizzling noise. And then they come to me, you know, hat in hand. Father, we need your help. Can we play random noises in the background of your stream if you resolder these headers that we fucking lit on fire with our setup? Like, what were you doing? How did you plug this in backwards? But this thing will help me test those modules out and make sure that they're tuned properly. This is basically what we're doing right now is we're just setting up. I'm going to make a whole wire wrapped device because I figure wire wrap will be more fun and it'll allow me to make mistakes and then undo the mistakes that I make instead of committing to a PCB and then having that go cattywampus. Wire wrapping, I think, will provide me with a little bit more density as well, so I can just lay all these modules down inside of the enclosure and then sort of staple them all together. But that's what we're working on. It's something that I should have had for many years, but I refused to make initially, and I'm biting the bullet. I'm finishing up this design. Okay, I lost my dry sponge. Got to do this without burning my hand. Ah, the French wine. Okay, let's see. Get that over there. Let's make some coffee. Started the stream early. I did start a little early today, but it was like an hour. Like, it wasn't that much. I need to be streaming more. I haven't streamed a lot lately. These projects have sort of come to certain impasses where it's going to be like several hours before I can continue on. Reading about flexoelectricity. What? What is that? Dude, we're almost there. I've done 7,000 of these little connections. My PCBs come in the mail today, my little breakouts for the op amps, so then I can figure out how I'm going to arrange that part of the circuit. I need to build up a lot of these boards, and then we'll make them into individual little modules that do the job of, you know, certain parts of the modular setup tester. Basically, one of them takes voltage in, and because of the negative 10 volts going into an inverted amplifier, it's able to offset and rescale the voltage levels so that the microcontroller doesn't blow up as soon as you plug something into it. It turns the plus minus 10 volt control signal into a 0 to 3.3 volt signal. Pretty clever little bit of amplifier design. And I stole it from Mutable Instruments. I don't know where Mutable Instruments got it from. Could be anywhere. Because I see other designers use that system too. It's just probably pretty well known within the module developers. It's like, well, if you want 10 volts to go to 3.3, here's the equation. We already know what the circuit's going to look like, though. Ferro and flexo. Ferroelectricity is crazy. If it's what you're talking about, we did a brief stint in that when I was doing motors and controls. We did basically we went over to the magnet, because electricity and magnetism are like practically the same thing. So if you go inside of a coil for like a transformer, you have structures that resemble coils. You have resistors, you have capacitors, all within magnetic energy, but all the equations are the same. It's really crazy stuff. Figured out how to harvest small amounts of electric from the mechanical bending of ice. Whoa, that's weird. Is it kind of the same way that they make electricity with gravity? Flexoelectro. If I really wanted to be extra, I probably should have wrapped one set in one direction and the other like the post in the other direction, so it looked like safety lines on cars. That's the magnetic part. I see, so it's different than all that. That's kind of neat. That's kind of neat. Yeah, drop the paper on my server. That sounds cool. I would appreciate that, because I can come back when I'm not like one cup of coffee away from death. I should be getting stuff from research papers more. The thing that I want to build, that I have all of the parts for, I think, they're just sitting over there on the mill, is that, and I've talked about it before and people have asked about it before, is the speech shutdownator, where you use one of those like parabolic microphones that you can listen into like one person with, and you hook it up to an ultrasonic speaker where it makes basically it's the same way that phased array antennas work, where you have multiple sources of your waves that then interfere with each other, and they do so in a way that produces sound in basically a laser beam in front of the speaker. And so you can send audio to one person. And if you use one of those parabolic microphones, you can get the sound of one person. And the human body is kind of interesting in that if you hear your own voice with just the right amount of delay, your brain shuts down and you can't talk. So at Burning Man and other festivals that I've been to, there are people who go around with these bullhorns, and they'll talk trash about people and just, work the crowd, and it's fun. But it would be very funny to point a device at them, and while they are saying something and being all extroverted and mean to people, they suddenly get, I just heard is that my voice? Okay, what's going on? I think that would be amazing. That'd be very, very funny indeed. So I have all the parts for that. I need to make it and put it together. I basically use one of these H-bridge motor drivers, and I think that's what you just put audio into. Maybe I'll have to figure out how those work. How you get those ultrasonic transducers to all output the same signal, because that's essentially what runs the ultrasonic levitation thing that we built that's sitting over there on the shelf. It has a motor driver, an H-bridge motor driver, and they're just putting a square wave into it. So I think you have to do that with audio. But again, I would have done more research on this, but I looked it up and I found somebody who had the same idea. They had the same idea to put the two devices together. And then they went into a tirade about Obama. And I was like, oh, this is that kind of internet site. some madman's machinations. It was a typical day on the internet, though. I mean, that stuff is all over the place in 2008. But I was like, cool, somebody had the same idea as me. And then I was like, oh, somebody horrible had the same idea as me. Somebody is a terrible person. I'm going over these again because these wire wrap wires are notorious for, see that looks like a cold solder joint. You want it to look wet. You want it to look moist. Oh yeah. So going over it again means that I can get a little bit of flux on there from the tiniest little bit of solder from the end of the thing. And I know it puts too much on the pin, but it, just for the assurance that solder definitely flows all over this thing and gives us a good electrical connection. I wonder if I could have used that trace repair stuff that I have. The magical product that I'm looking for is Captain tape, but copper clad. It doesn't have to conduct through the tape. I don't want that. What I want is the high temperature stickum glue that doesn't leave a residue that they use on Captain tape. I want that on copper, because that would be a perfect trace repair, or even just to make a circuit on a piece of FR4. You could use that, put that stuff down, and then you can cut around it with a blade and peel off the parts that shouldn't connect. I do not understand why that product doesn't work. There's circuit repair stuff, but it's not the same. I think Modern Rogue did an episode on the Sound Jammer thing. Interesting. I know that there's a professional company that does them, and then that's what those boat defense systems use as well. They use the ultrasonic emitters to create a very high-pitched and undesirable note so that you can aim it at people that are trying to take over your boat and non-lethally piss them off, I guess. I don't know. But again, I just haven't had the research time. And then the one website I found was like, okay. I was like, yeah, all right, I'm done with this idea for now. But I would like to make that one day because I think it would be hilarious. Not that I'm going to festivals these days, but one day I'd be able to use it for something. Go hide out in the bushes outside of Slab's house. Make it so he can't talk. Wait, I'm here. That's my own voice. Okay, that's my voice. What's going on? I love to read. What's that? Reading and research take up so much of my time. I should do it more because we can steal all kinds of cool projects from other people. But then again, I don't need a source of other projects. People go, hey, Bother, I had this idea for it. I'm like, great, you do it. Tell me about it. Like, I have too many things. Too much is going on that we need to complete. That pick and place, chief among them, because in my mind anyway, I feel like I can get the beautiful Reddit shot that'll get onto all of the super satisfying and all those other, that's legitimately cool subs, and you know, the ones that just are content mills, and maybe it'll get my name out a little bit more. Maybe it'll get a viewer. That would be kind of cool. It's fun to watch the Sound Jammer thing. They kept jamming it with his own voice. So how are they doing the delay? Because delays are very difficult to do in synthesizers. Well, in electronics in general, just recording all of that information and then spitting it back out with a delay. I think there's a chip that I can use that does it. It's like delay on chip. It's a synthesizer thing. Since he's also deaf in one ear, they were wondering if it could work. Huh. Can you do a ultrasonic laser bone conducting microphone? Laser in my bones. Bucket Brigade delay line. Is that, what is that? Is that where you just have so much cable that it creates a delay? Uh-oh, that's, oh, wait a minute. That, I may have to remove the microcontroller to wire wrap to the microcontroller. Oh, that's gonna be a big problem. I think I messed up. I think I messed up, chat. Oh no. Oh, a series of buckets made out of capacitors. That's cool. I fucked up. I fucked up. I just spent all that time. It does kind of fit. It does kind of fit. Yeah, there's just enough room, but barely. Like, they need to be, I think, bent out just a little tiny bit, and then they're okay. Jeez, that's a big mess. I took one look at it and I went, oh no. I might have wanted to keep more board on this. I may rebuild this. Because I could use, if I make it further out and I have more room on the board, then I have room to label it. And I think labeling it's going to make this a much easier design to get through. I may have to redo all of that. God damn it. Welcome to doing electronic stuff, where you don't check simple things that you didn't consider before. All right, well, given that level of F up, yeah, I'm gonna have to put this on a wider board because there's plenty of room for it. We have all of our power hookups coming up here, but then this has enough room to kind of have a little bit of wiggle room. All right, that's on me. That's messed up. Listen, I gotta go take care of my dog. She's been without going outside, and I need to make her dinner and all that. So we went on a little bit early. I have been it's only been 3 hours. Man, I gotta do longer streams. I'm gonna see about whether or not I can do tomorrow. No promises, but did I just see you try to put threading on a DuPont pin header? No. This is called wire wrapping. Here, check it out. Frame it differently. Oh, here's where we get into the woo-woo stuff. Put it out into the universe that you want a job and it'll find you. That's what everybody told me the last time I was unemployed. Wire wrapping is when you take 30 gauge wire, this little solid core stuff, and you strip it really far back. That goes into this. I think I need to dig out that little piece of wire that's already in here. Okay, it fell out. Threaded DuPont connectors might be pretty good. I mean, anything to make the single pin DuPont connectors not suck out loud. If you're using a lot of those single pin DuPont connectors to jump from header to header, you might consider learning to wire wrap, maybe. It is not easy, but it is a very, oh, it's much more reliable than those stupid DuPont headers. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm trying to feed the wire into this so that it goes into this divot. Check this out. Check this out. I'll just do a quick little sample. Now, assuming you can thread that, and it shouldn't be too hard to do, but that pushes all the way until the jacket of the wire hits up against this thing, because it won't go any further in now, right? And that is just enough wire to get one wrap of the jacket around the post. So this then goes down onto the post where you want to make your wire connection. And this is a little tight. There we go. I think that worked. Where's the wire going? So the wire comes out in this direction, and you start spinning it, and usually you kind of let it start to pull. It's gonna break the wire, isn't it? And without lifting, you just keep spinning it. I think I put too much wire into this. What that does, okay, so typically it doesn't look that bad. This is just the pin here is kind of pushing up against it. But what that'll do is that'll wrap the jacket of the wire, the jacketed wire, around once, and then it'll wrap the unjacketed wire several times around that square post. And that creates a reliable connection to that pin. However, this one is not good. I wouldn't accept this. It usually is the wire's coiled right on top of itself. And when it rounds the bend on the square part of the square header, where the two ends of the square meet, it crushes down that corner just a little bit and creates a cold weld. I mean, it's old-timey, but it's still good tech, and it's a good way to build a device like this and have it still be serviceable, and you're able to actually see what the circuit does. I was close to making my own PCB for this, but there's so many modular pieces to this thing that it would need a big circuit board, and big circuit boards are expensive. So I'm gonna have to remake this thing. I'm gonna have to redo all this. I'll have to get new headers, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. Maybe I'll just throw this in a bin somewhere. What a waste of time. That sucked. All right, chat, I'm rage quitting. I am rage quitting. Who's on Twitch right now? I appreciate you all being here. I may go on tomorrow because, again, I'm going to be here with the dog. Yeah, it's solid. It'll last a long time because that connection, everything around it can oxidize, but the crushed corner with the wire is what makes that wonderful thing. Makes that wonderful connection. It makes the electrical connectivity very strong. It works better with a round and slightly coarse wire wrap pins. I think smooth square DuPont ones. Wait, what are you talking about? Those exist? Because I have the machined rounded pins. That's what I've been using on the microcontrollers. Because these are a little bit shorter than, but you're not supposed to use these for the reasons that I said. The wire wrapping works. Where is the diagram? They always show the diagram, which is with the wire crushing the little corners. Google sucks. This search engine is the pits. This is all jewelry all the time. That's a different style. There's SparkFun articles, so that probably explains it. I bet you it has the diagram. But yeah, wire wrapping is still just as relevant as it ever was. They used to use it for radios in Vietnam because you get really dense circuitry because you have, 12 layers of wires instead of a 12-layer board. DuPont jobbies have beveled corners. Interesting. Enjoyed learning the history of wire wrapping. I'm impressed you're doing it and even have the tool. I have the tool, the Radio Shack tool, the one that everybody had. Yeah, they actually taught it in a course when I was at university. I'm not old. Listen, I missed a lot of chats today because I went on a couple big rants there just to keep things entertaining while I did the most boring thing I possibly could and then had to throw it away because it was useless. I can't believe that. I spent all that time soldering just to learn that, hey, things have dimensions and you should probably check them first. But yeah, wire wrapping is this wonderful thing. If you're doing test and measurement and stuff like this is just where it shines. Even if you're doing all surface mount stuff, if you've got wires that need to go into your like your board, it helps to do wire wrapping because it stays consistent. I'm jealous you took a class. Go take your own class. The wire wrapping class we actually used, boy oh boy were the parts old. They were well obsolete for us at the time I took the classes, but what we did is we built a device where you talk into a microphone. It puts that voice data onto RAM, and then it recalls that voice data. So there's a counter, a piece of RAM, and just stuff like that. So there's a circuit bending class. That sounds cool. Circuit bending is more like you poke it and then it goes blah, and you go, wow, cool. And then you put a switch there so that you can make it go blah, blah, blah when you want it to. I have an old Speak and Spell and a Speak and Math, and it would be interesting to make it into a modular synthesizer thing. The Speak and Spell is so broken that the chips are just sitting at my feet. They're in the bin of derelict circuit boards. It would be nice to get that into like a modular synthesizer module. The thing is, I tried to look up how to use the Texas Instrument chip in order to make phonemes, which aren't fake memes. It's phonemes. It's the sounds that make up language, that stuff. Because when you start circuit bending on a Speak and Spell and you push your capacitive fingers all over its giblies, all in its private bits, all the signals will start to get jumbled around, and then so the phonemes are coming out weird, and so that's why you get coming out of the Speak and Spell speaker. It's really cool stuff. It would be really cool to have a filter in the modular synthesizer that does something. Chat controls Speak and Spell. No, you don't want that. Very tightly chat controlled Speak and Spell. Hey, what's up, Big John? That's a new name. How you doing? I was talking about, was I talking about festival? Oh, the conversation shutter downer that I want to build, the ultrasonic laser speaker with a parabolic microphone and a slight delay between the two, so that if somebody's on a bullhorn saying jerky stuff, you can point it at them and then they'll suddenly go, "What is that? Wait, hold on, I'm hearing my own voice. Oh my God, I can't." That'd be awesome. But yeah, anyway, a Speak and Spell hooked up to chat would be a really terrible idea if it was just saying chat messages. That's how a channel got banned for racism. It was a maker channel that had the banana, and then Tyler, whatever, the little muscle guy, raided with his ilk of Twitch chatters, and they were putting messages up on the banana, and the banana said some awful stuff, and the channel got kibosh. It got the bosh for a week, and then he probably came back stronger with an actual viewership, which would be nice. But yeah, so the idea of what we're working on, I'm going to work on some of this stuff on my own. The modular synthesizer testing module, I'm going to get that a little further along so we can do some of the wire wrapping and testing as we go through it, and it'll be a more exciting stream than just the soldering that we did today. And then the pick and place is the one that I really want to get done, because that means that I'm able to actually build one of these boards and then use these really nice cameras to get a really detailed shot of all of the electronics arranging themselves. And then maybe my minions can go post that onto the internet and it'll go viral, because it's like every couple weeks I see a new one of those things on all the satisfying subreddits and stuff. So that's the idea. We'll get there. I'm gonna stop because I'm solo with the dog today. I gotta take her out. She hasn't had a walk all day, and then I need to feed her. So I'm gonna go do those things, and then I will be on the Discord. So I haven't done the end command yet. Let me do that real quick. Let's grab all of this stuff. Copy. And then I need to paste it, and I am going to tentatively put it as Tuesday. There might be weekend streams, but I don't have anything like I don't have Julian coming in or anything like that. Although I should get him in here because I finally got that 505 and it's all working. But he doesn't automatically know how the 505 works. So, and it's a little eclectic, that thing. This thing it's crazy. Maybe we should I was thinking about just throwing myself over the deep end of the diving board and learning to swim and setting up a camera over here You leave. I just showed up. Been a while. Yeah, it has been a while. We need to catch up. I bought a 505 so that I could learn to make some rudimentary stuff for this modular synthesizer and get some music here on the stream. It'd be kind of neat to do. I have been starting to learn it because a buddy of, you never met this person, but there's a buddy of mine way back in the day. We were going to start a band. He bought a 505 and an 808. And then he got shipped off to like mental health stuff in Utah, and it didn't go well for him, but the equipment remained, and then it got sold. Yeah, I bought a 505 and literally every button on it was broken. Every single button on it had oxidized to the point where it didn't work. So this is a project that only O'Bother could do. No, actually, all of you could probably do it too. We just had to desolder a lot of buttons and solder them all back in. One of my biggest regrets was not having a 303 in high school. Girlfriend's dad worked at a music store and gave me a deal. I had the Electribe. I had one of the Electribes, and apparently those are legendary. I gave it to Julian, and Julian sold it. Dick. But I should have kept it, because apparently those were legendary too. But yeah, the 505 was always kind of a goal, because this is kind of in memory of that friend. And so I bought this, and then I go and I watch the Bad Music Reviewer guy. His video on the 505 was like, this thing sucks. And it's like all of the weird things that it does, everything's behind menus and multiple button presses and just every trick in the book to try to get a very rudimentary piece of technology to punch above its weight limit. And it does, it works really well. Everybody says, yeah, it punches above its weight limit. But like, at what cost? You've got to learn how to it's like when Top Gear reviewed that early Mercedes where it has the what was the lever called? The umbrage of voyage or something like that. You pull the lever and that's actually the clutch, and then this does this, totally non-standard car controls, and it still operates as a car. That's what this is. But Roland fanboys love it. So I figure if I learn how to use it, it'll be kind of fun. The lever of umbrage. Yeah, that was the one. Hurl the lever. That was a very good episode. What is this hair doing? Got like one white hair that seems to want to there's always those like turbocharged white hairs that you get that grow at like 3 times the rate of the others. Yeah, there's another one of them. Ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, I'm looking a little disheveled. I got up super early today and had to do the airport run. Dun, dun, dun. So I'm just here. It's just me with the dog. I am going to work on doing some of these modular things. A wizard whisker. Well, if they all grew at that rate, I would have a huge wizard beard. That would be awesome. And then I could throw it aside and say, halt! And stuff. Anyway, I'm ending the stream. I'm stop being online, bother. I'm going to stop streaming and I'll be back maybe tomorrow, but definitely Tuesday. In the meantime, you guys check out Flatulent Gonad. Let me see if anybody else is online. Oh, and I have to actually use the end command in here. Listen, my Beast guy got hacked, and I emailed them, and they didn't get back to me at all. So Discord is all I've got. That's all I've got. Check out Discord. You can catch up with me in the stream. That's it. There's no more social media for me. This guy. I have an old Facebook page, but I haven't logged into it in literally years. And I'm happy. I'm happy. Go do doggo. Yeah, her friends are going to be outside soon, so don't go on Facebook. Listen, the only thing I update Facebook with is the picture that they're going to blow up at my funeral and put on the little stand that's next to the closed casket. And everybody goes, does it smell like something's burning? What's going on? I don't know. What happened to Bother? How did he die? Oh, he bought a robot arm from eBay. Like one of those big robot arms. It was from eBay, and it killed him. Yeah, but why is it closed casket? Oh, it killed him. It killed his ass. His ass is dead. Yeah, so that's what I update Facebook with. Just toss me off a bridge wrapped in carpet. Why? So you can spend your afterlife with all of the little scooters that are down there? I am the ghost of scooters that have been thrown over the bridge. Why are you people doing this? Why do you do this? Why? Have you ever seen those things where they dredge out like Dutch canals that I can't. Brain, hello? Yeah, that's literally what my brain just did. Never mind. Don't talk about anything if you don't know exactly what. I need to write things down like on my wall so that I can look and say, oh yeah, that Holland. Because I think about that and it just goes. It's like it gets over restricted and the fact pops out. My buddy magnet fishes and catches some crazy stuff on bridges. Guns. It's all guns. I think the next gun that I want to purchase, and maybe I shouldn't talk about this on stream, is a revolver that looks like a snub-nosed revolver that looks like I found it under a dumpster. I want to get something with like lots of damage. Oh, Milton's doing Mecha Chameleon, but not with Justin. I watched Djibouti Show do some Mecha Chameleon, and Justin is straight up dangerous at that game. Garrick Durak is streaming, and I keep meaning to recommend Garrick Durak, but he streams, I think I don't think it might be Dutch, it might be German. I don't know the language. I haven't dropped in. Pawn shop prowling? Yeah, exactly. Did you buy anything on Prime Day? Amazon doesn't have guns. No, I didn't buy anything. Last Prime Day, I bought a bunch of stuff and we ended up with a shock collar for a dog. Now I have a dog, so I'm not going to buy a shock collar for a dog. And also, I'm not going to hook that shit up to my body. I don't know what happened to it. It's still somewhere in the shop. It doesn't have a collar on it, but it was one of those like silly purchases. And then there was all the controversy with Hassan and the dog collar thing. You know, I got my own opinions on that stuff. I'm not going to talk about it again. I'm looking at who's live right now, and it doesn't look like there's anybody that I can kind of like shove you guys into. Cosmo Questix is on. Yo, Big Wave. And Olivia's doing Deltarune, which I shouldn't raid into a Deltarune stream. You need to be there for the whole thing. Okay. I am just going to pull the lever of Embrayage, and the stream is going to fall into the ether, thus ending it. So I will see you guys later. Yeah, one of my things is like, I'm definitely not getting a glitter gun. What the hell? Last Miles. The last 5 seconds of my stream. Last Miles is raiding with a party of 71. Last Miles coming in here with exponentially more people watching than I had. I was just ending the stream. Oh no. Hi, Last Milesers. Today we were working on my modular synthesizer testing module made of modules, module by module. So what we're doing is from Fusion 360, I have the original design that was gonna have a printed circuit board, but instead I am going to be assembling this with all of the different breakout boards. So this is a Eurorack module with the Noritakitron vacuum fluorescent display, and 6 LEDs, 6 buttons, 6 not stereo, 6 mono plugs, 4 modular synthesizers, and an AB encoder. So with all that, what I can do is set this to output certain frequencies and voltages and signals that will allow me to test and tune other modules. But I couldn't fit them all. I couldn't fit all the electronics. I mean, maybe I could fit it all on one PCB, but the signal routing is going to be absolute pain. So instead, we designed this sort of basket. And so what I'll do is I'll have 2 of these baskets out of the back of the module. And these baskets will hold all of the little modules that make up the circuit here. And the circuit here is designed so that each of these 6 channels can hook themselves up to a voltage reference in order to tune the outputs from the I2S, it's an integrated sound, IIS. It's like a digital protocol for making audio. So there will be 6 channels of audio that will output to amplifiers and then output at Eurorack level. And so we can evaluate that and then tune it digitally so that everything's nice and accurate. I apologize, I was messing with Oracle Spark S72 hardware. That sounds kind of cool. And SC5 RISC V P550 trash. And not much works correctly, a lot of cursing. then it's over to you. I spent the whole day soldering this, which this is a Teensy 4. It has a lot of I/O. It's probably the most powerful microcontroller that I have. And I made an adapter so that I could wire wrap. You guys don't know wire wrapping. Myself, I took a course in college that was wire wrapping. It involved wire wrapping. And 215 John, Big John, was there, but he didn't take that class. I had to build somebody's entire project, which was you speak into a microphone and it uses like a 7400 series counter in order to load that information onto RAM, and then you would hit a button and it would reverse it and it would offload it all. And then you'd hear your voice back. I tune in after a while, vacuum tubes, tiny soldering, sound gear, yeah, wire wrapping, things have not changed in a good way. What do you mean? All this stuff is awesome. I don't have like vacuum tubes and vacuum fluorescent displays and wire wrapping and old electron. I have been regressing. What's happening? I do want to make the money gun work though. That'll be for donations. I'm gonna have it so that the money gun shoots money in my face when somebody donates. But anyway, so the stuff that we're working on was to make all of this into wire wrapping devices. So that we can, basically wire wrapping is an old system of doing circuits so that they can be layered and you can edit them without a soldering iron. I mean, that's not totally necessary these days, but in this device, it makes a lot of sense for it to be wire wrapped because all of my stuff is a bunch of little modules. So you wire wrap the power in and then you take the signal out and you wire it all up with little 30 gauge wires. So I've got the Radio Shack wire wrapping tool. This I ordered online and it came in a box that had retail Radio Shack labeling. It was awesome. I need to make the wire routing smaller. Yeah, that is the thing that I say. I probably could have done this on a circuit board, but if I were to make the circuit board so that I could quickly make it, it would be prohibitive and I wouldn't be able to make it like neat and fancy like I like. So this was my attempt to just put the parts down, and it was too busy, just too busy. Like, what am I doing? You know, when something like this comes in the mail and you look at the circuit, oh, you guys couldn't see. When something like this comes in the mail and you finally get to look at the circuit, like in real size, the actual scale, you sit here and you go, man, that looked a lot larger in CAD. What was I doing? Like this needs to be fixed a little bit because I got something wrong. And so if I'm wire wrapping it, that means that I can fix it immediately. And I haven't spent 3 weeks waiting for the boards to come in the mail. Only to find a little mistake. So I have an XESC board that needs fixed. I can take a look. Take a look, certainly. What is the needs fixed? This is why we just order a prototype before ordering 500. Well, that's, you know, yeah, that's the way that I would do it. But the module testing module is so much stuff that it's going to be a big circuit board, and I don't have the money for a big circuit board. I don't have money. So I can't go out and order all of these wonderful motor control things. And, you know, when Burn the Subs was going, I actually ordered a bunch of Granite device stuff. We still have to put that into a project. That was expensive. That was like a couple $1,000s in an order. I felt like proud doing that. I can't do that these days. So we're using up a lot of stuff that I have lying around in order to make all this stuff happen. It's not like I don't have a lot of stuff lying around to make circuits with. So yeah, I'm not gonna spend the money. You know, we'll do a fusion design eventually because things have kind of calmed down with shipping into the States, into and out of the States. Dust is settling figuratively a little bit. So I may go and try to design something for our hashtag AutoCAD ads that we'll get from overseas. Yeah. I'm saying for my dumb money. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, the $5 board runs are awesome if we can stay within that size. Hold on, maybe ferrite core memory. Yeah. XESC. My robo mower, something chooched itself, cocked itself when a wheel got stuck. Ooh, FETs and current chips. It worked for about 30 minutes, then it blew again. The motor wirings are fine. Don't know what's wrong. Interesting. Yeah, that might be the coils of the motor overheating, and then the lacquer like burns away and then it shorts. So that might be it. Yeah, you repaired it and then the FETs blew up again. That sounds like your motor became, instead of a long series of coiled wires, it became one short wire. The motor windings are fine though. Like, does it ohm test all right? Oh, you metered them? Okay, damn. That would have been easy. Darn it. That would have been easy. Huh, interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, that's, I mean, something to look at. They have to be exact. Well, so if it's not that, then what could it be? My robo mower is called Momo, and he has a cowboy hat. Sad mower. Sorry, partner. I just can't do it today. Momo out. All right, listen. God, it's so funny. All right, I gotta end the stream. I gotta go feed my dog. Willow deserves better than this. She's very mopey because people aren't around. So I'm gonna do this again. Yeah, cowboy mower is hilarious, actually. The Furby that I have over there has one of those Boodles gin top hats on. You gotta put hats on stuff, everybody, all right? Promise me that. Blue Sky got hacked. Not around anymore. Discord's all I got. The only social media. You should probably keep it light as well. I will be on Discord. I always check it. I am super bored enough to check it. I'm going to work on these circuit boards. I'm going to actually do the thing that I need to do, which is build it a little wider and maybe leave room for labeling. Maybe even label it. I'll do that on my own. Come back and we'll actually start putting this thing together. I might build the power supply board too, so we can actually just connect everything, and then it'll be a little bit more of a no-brainer. So Tuesday is when I normally go on, so we'll see what's going on. I mean, people come back to the house on Sunday, so it's not like I'm burdened with the care of my poor defenseless dog. No, it's totally fine. I might go on tomorrow. It depends, but we'll see. No promises. Tuesday for sure. Until then, never forget to always